my god, are you drinking a bottle of fucking soy sauce? That looks horrendous. Then it just stops. Hello and welcome to the super duper special Weshel live 100th MisanthroPod episode. I am Snipe, and as always, I am joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
And I am also joined by drummer Matt. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you lovely gentlemen this fine evening?
Doing okay. I did come to the realization earlier that if someone has listened to every podcast, they have spent roughly a week listening to us, which is mildly terrifying. But apart from that, I'm doing okay. How you doing, Matt?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm good. I'm sat in a new recording studio, which is completely professional. Not at all made entirely out of boxes. And in fact, actually, my microphone is on my Warhammer case with my tower in, which is quite appropriate, I guess.
Well, I mean, for Tau, yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do with them?
Oh. How are you doing tonight?
I'm okay. I'm just listening to, like, Wib talk about how people have listened to it, like, us for a week, and I'm like, I go to the shops and talk to people for free. They don't deserve that. I mean, they really don't, those poor people.
No, they don't deserve having to deal with you. No, that's true.
Yes. But yes, I'm okay.
Yeah, this is the 100th MisanthroPod. If you are listening to this in the future on either YouTube or via whatever means you listen to the audio version of this, we're doing this live with a video feed, so we apologise if at any point we point to something in the room, like I'm doing right now, and we make any reference to it. Sorry. But yeah. And
sorry.
As that's happening, I appreciate that you just decided to just click a bunch of buttons for no reason.
Because the pre-show image was still up.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, well, I fucked up then.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, everyone. He's so unprofessional.
Scratch it. Start again.
Okay.
Start again.
Bye, everyone.
But yeah, so we're all okay? We all doing
yes,
well?
we are doing well, and we hope that you listening and everyone in chat is also doing well. Now, I'm going to ask Wibble it, just a little bit. What have you been up to? Dearest Wiblet.
I have been up to a few things.
Wibbly wobblet, drink from my goblet.
How long have you been waiting to say that?
It literally just popped into my brain, and I was like, and you know how you only realise you're saying something halfway through?
Yeah.
Yeah, I literally...
Or for you, a few seconds after you've said it.
You're not wrong. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm gonna say the thing and move on from that.
Yeah, this is my goblet that I am holding right now. It is full of orange juice. It's nothing dirty. Don't be weird.
Okay. Well, I have been playing not one, not two, not three, but 4 video games.
I was going to say, not one, not two, not any.
Not any. I have been playing video games, which is a rarity for me, because normally I just waste my time watching Star Trek. 2 of them are even Warhammer related, so I'll space those out just to, make sure that I don't lose people's interest.
Well, I mean, I'm already starting to tune it out, so...
Yeah. So, first off, I played a game called Behold the Kickmen.
Pardon?
You'll love it, Drummer Matt. It's about sport.
Behold the Kickmen.
Okay.
Basically, it is a football video game that is made by someone that neither cares for nor understands football.
That sounds glorious.
I really want to see you play it, because I know you'll probably either burst a blood vessel or just slip into a coma.
Now, it even has a mode where you click it that basically turns the football off, so it turns it into like a
I wish real life had a button like that.
It turns it into a futuristic blood sport.
You mean rugby? But they're wearing, like, chrome like underpants.
I mean, I want to say no, but also kind of yeah.
That sounds really good, actually. I like that.
So the basic conceit of the game is that you're playing through just your standard kind of football game. You're playing through a league, except it's all just nonsense. Like,
So what's the gameplay? Are you actually controlling the players, or are you managing it, or
it does work like a kind of regular football game. It works. Okay. It works like the kind of the closest game I can think of it to is the Mega Man football game, but that's because I have so few references of football games that's where I go to. And I only ever play. I don't know if that ever came out in the West because I've only ever played the Japanese version, so it was called Rockman Soccer.
That's a pretty good pun, actually.
But yeah, so it's a top-down. You go, one side of the pitch is at the top and one side's at the bottom.
Okay.
So it works like rather than the side-to-side thing you get on most modern ones.
Like the old sensible soccer.
I'll believe you on that. Actually, yeah, shit, because that's the Super old one,
Is
isn't
that
it?
part of the games, or are you just adding that prefix because you thought it was very sensible?
Partially that, but also partially a game, because if it wasn't the game title, I would not be calling it soccer, so...
Yeah. And it is legit just called Sensible Soccer. I don't think the series exists anymore, but it did run for a weirdly long amount of time.
I have a T-shirt for the new version, and that T-shirt's from 2006.
Oh,
so
okay,
that's only
cool.
a few.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so it works like that, and you have to unlock the abilities to pass and tackle and things like that.
Do you get that for free?
Kick is the one thing you get for free.
Because free kicks are a thing.
And it
Nice.
I think the way to view the humor of the game is that when you score a goal, it says I can't remember the exact wording, but it basically says, "Congratulations, you've done a goal." And that kind of tells you everything about it. It has like a storyline where you can like name your character and stuff. And like pick the color of your team, so I went for purple, obviously. What happens is it kind of runs through in a sort of visual novel style thing of you having your character having arguments with like your rival and talking to your coach. And then occasionally you have to select things like when you get insulted, you can either burst into tears or burst into tears, but in a manly way. It's got a weird vibe to it.
Yeah, okay.
And just the subtle inaccuracies of how everything works. Like, there's a whole thing about it talking how offside is the greatest joke of football because... it's the same joke, but they can just keep telling it over and over again how no one understands how it works. It's hilarious, and that's just how they talk about it. And I think it even refers to offside as being when the game ends. Like it's little things like that all the way through, or like you can pick up extra time because it gets like littered around the pitch, which is round, by the way.
Oh, good, yeah, because football's around, so that makes sense. I get that.
Yeah.
How old is this game, out of interest?
It's only a few years old.
Okay. I couldn't work out whether, from how you're describing it, I couldn't work out whether it was like a modern game within a few years old or whether it was made in like the 90s or something.
Also, the part that really messed with me is that when you boot it up, it just suddenly blares dubstep at you. I was like, I was not expecting this. Just that's the theme tune it has. It's a whole thing. But I can recommend giving it a shot. It's pretty fun. Because it basically just takes the raw mechanics of a football game and sort of plays with them a little bit to make something interesting and wraps it in this kind of satirical kind of ball. I don't know if it's like I played it for like an hour, and to be honest, I don't know if I'll ever bother go back and play more of it. But for that hour, it's quite fun. From what I've heard, the difficulty does spike pretty damn hard on it though, which is a bit of a pity. And I noticed that I did get to a point where I just suddenly started hitting things that were like 3 times harder than I previously hit. So it's but it's quite cheap. So
when your team comes up against the mighty Derby County, obviously.
I even as a joke, I'm not gonna dignify the bullshit.
Hey, look, you started talking about football on the podcast.
I know. It's shocking, isn't it? But the interesting one of the interesting ways it works is that to train your characters or to train your team to get better at certain things, you have to basically you have to like do more before you score a goal, so you like earn points, which
Okay,
then when you score a goal become money. So yeah,
Right.
so it
Just like real football.
yeah, it's bizarre. But I can recommend it. Give it a shot. It's quite cheap, so yeah. The next one is one of the Warhammer games that I wanted to talk about.
Shadow the Horned
Nice.
It
Rat.
is not Shadow.
Finally.
It is not Shadow of the Horned Rat, I'm afraid.
Then stop talking.
It is a much worse video game.
Oh.
It is. It is not very good.
One of those Warhammer games.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, last Warhammer Fest, we went into the seminar about video games, and one of the people that got up talked about a game called Warhammer Chaos and Conquest.
Which I will say, that poor lady.
Yeah, no, she did.
She was lovely and she spoke very well, but like the moment it's like someone was like, "Oh, does this game have microtransactions?" And you could see her go, "Yeah, they do." But she was straight up was like, "No, there will be microtransactions," and the entire room just went, "Ugh." And it was like you could tell how horrible she felt, and it's like, and like Longfang
It's like,
and I
it's
were
not her
talking to her
fault.
after. Yeah, it's
Don't-
like it's
Wasn't
capitalism.
wasn't she the artist?
I think she was. I think she was,
she was-
like someone on the art team, and the
yeah,
art
so it's
for
not
that
her
game
fault that
is
there's some-
beautiful, really gorgeous art.
However, that's one of the bonuses of this being live is that I can't move
we
when a
can't
loud
stop.
car goes past. But one of the things of actually playing the game is that you find out that no matter how lovely that lady was or how good the art is, the actual game is fucking terrible. So I didn't play it in the best environment because it is intended as a mobile game, and just for people that aren't aware, what the game is a sort of base building game. You plop down like resource generators on predefined spots and then level everything up. And everything's on a timer because it's one of those kind of mobile games.
Timers.
Now, it is also available on the Windows Store, so if you want to play it on your desktop PC, you can. Which I did because my phone's getting old and I don't trust it to run most games. I do enjoy every time I boot up Pokemon Go and it finds some new way to crash.
When will they build your statue?
When will they build my statue? But yeah, you can play it on PC, but the problem is that these sort of games where you build things and it's setting off waiting on timers, when you're not just pulling open your phone and just messing with it for like 5 minutes, buying a few things and then turning it off, when it's in your face as a full screen application on the computer, you realize how shallow those games actually are. Like, there's just nothing to them. You can do PvP stuff, but like, I couldn't. I didn't get far enough in it to like get powerful enough, because it's the sort of game they want you to play for hours and hours. Well, to play for months at a time and spend microtransactions on it. But when I was actually playing it, it unfortunately had a few things that were like exercises in trying to make the least user-friendly thing I could like imagine. So the first one is that when it starts up, it has one of those tutorials that is so on rails that you physically can't click anything that isn't what they want you to click, and that includes the options. So you can't change the resolution, you can't change, say, hypothetically, if it had push notifications built into it, so every time you complete a structure, of which you have to do about 10 of to complete the tutorial, it brings up a Windows notification every time that happens, complete with whatever sound your Windows makes. So for us, it was the default Windows notification sound, which I don't know about you, but is really immersive.
Yeah.
It made, I was like, oh yeah, now I'm really into the old world of Warhammer, because it's set in like the old world. I don't think it's not set in Age of Sigmar.
I think I'm pretty sure it's set in the old world. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the other downside, of course, is that these timers, when you can see them on a big screen, you end up at the point where you go, I can literally see 5 different timers counting down right now. Right. Don't think this game actually wants me to play it. I think it wants me to open it, press a button, and then leave it for a few days, and then give them some money.
I think Jim Sterling phrased it best with free to wait.
Yeah. And it's not great. It's not great at all.
Which is a shame because some of the artwork was gorgeous, but again, mobile game. It's
what were we expecting, really? I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I just wish it had a bit more to it because there are some cool things like this. Some really nice like character design. For saying like I'm not going to judge it by the standards of like a PC game, like a dedicated PC game of the same, roughly the same type. I'm like looking at graphics and going, this is for mobile game. Like it looks really good. It's got voice acting in it, which is all right. It's overall it's like nice presentation, but just not worthwhile playing. I've heard it's a bit more fun on mobile where you can just drop in and drop out, but yeah. Dare I ask what you pair are laughing at?
It's a bit of an in joke with chat. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're definitely listening to you too.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
good.
I mean, as much as I usually am while we're recording.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
I feel like I can't. Oh god.
I have had like really like deep heart to hearts with you where you've been talking to me, maintaining eye contact, and then take out your phone and unlock it and slowly look, and I'm like, okay, and then you're like, sorry, Darby's playing, and put it down. It's like, also I have a bad attention span. What were you saying? And I'm like, I was 3 when my dad left. But is fun.
So the next video game, which is a non-Warhammer video game,
okay, everyone, just leave.
is Reigns, which came out a little bit ago. It's a Devolver Digital game, which means that it does have beheadings, but not as many as you'd expect.
Okay. Just before you go on, is it Reigns as in with a G or AI, or how's Reigns spelled?
It's Reigns as in you are a monarch reigning, because the game is about you being a monarch reigning.
It's not just a British game.
No, it's about like you basically pony play. Do you know what pony play is?
I mean, I can guess.
It's where you dress up and pretend you're a pony and sing musical numbers for some reason.
No, that's just that video we saw on Twitter earlier.
Oh, is it like a side-scrolly pixel thing?
No.
No,
you might be thinking of Kingdom or something.
I can't remember.
Oh shit! I've actually forgotten the name of it now. But anyway, no, it's not that. The best way to describe Reigns is that it is monarchist Tinder.
I thought it was like the best way to describe rain is that it's like water from the tap, but it comes from the sky. You know, that really big room that you can't see the ceiling of.
But yeah, basically what it is you play as a monarch, and you have cards that come down, and you swipe left or swipe right, depended on...
Wed or behead.
Sometimes,
that's pretty good.
basically.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm on a roll.
And it basically, you decide what you want to do. So, like, the army will come down, like a representative of the army, rather, will come down and say, there is an uprising in the south. Do you want us to quell it, or do you want us to shore up our defences? That sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And you just swipe left or swipe right, depending on what decision you want to make. It has basically 4 different things that you have to try and balance. So you have the church, you have like the population, just the people, you have the army, and you have the bank. So
I mean, you say balance, turn the people up and turn the other 3 off.
Unfortunately, the game over if any of them reach 0.
Oh, okay, right.
Unless I did find one result where I accidentally started a vast hyper-religious cult that just took care of the finances, and I was like, all right, cool, the game's got easier.
Right.
A hyper-religious cult that took care of the finances.
Yeah, I know. Hey, look.
How do you stumble into that?
That's an interesting question.
How do you accident... Well, shit, the cult's got hold of the banks, but you know what? On the plus side, the economy's booming.
But yeah, and as you go along, you gradually encounter more and more events. So you'll start off wars, or you'll end up accidentally sort of letting a cult appear in your kingdom, or you'll go and fight a dragon who's actually not that bothered about you, or you'll meet the literal devil. There's lots of things you can do, and it's really just about seeing how long you can last. And the more events you find, many of them can unlock extra characters that will appear in your, and when you unlock those, like, more cards appear in your deck for what can happen. So that it sort of rewards you exploring and taking different options, even when you know what the right one is.
Okay.
So yeah, it's interesting. And annoyingly, I'm not very good at it, because like one of the achievements that most people seem to have is to have reigned for 50 years. The only achievement I have is for reigning less than 3. I did do that on purpose, in fairness, and then I accidentally did it a bit later. Where I just
So how long do you normally last for, ish?
That's a very personal question, friend. But I usually last between like 15 and like 25 years. The one time, and this is when I accidentally got the Cult of Money, was
the Cult of Coin.
I lasted for 47 years and then got lost in a dungeon and then accidentally fell into a pit of spikes and just got instantly killed.
This is why you've always got to have a very well-lit dungeon.
Yeah, you've got to be careful.
You got to be careful. Those stones get slippery.
But it is a very fun little game. I've played like a couple of hours of it because it's just something you can kind of boot up and just play a couple of rounds of, and then and whenever you first achieve something, it becomes like the name of your king that you have. So it randomly generates them. So you'll have like Henry or William or whatever, and it'll tell you how long they reigned for, and it does keep a track of like the lineage. So you can see, and it like keeps track of the year. Like one of the achievements is to get to the year 2000.
Okay.
I'm at about 900. So, and if you do certain things, like say you try to think of an example here. Like the first time you reign over 10 years, it'll name you like Henry the Young or what have you. Or if you are a person who does certain things with the religion tree, you'll like get something that'll be like, for the sake of argument, I can't remember if this is one, but like
Prelate Henry,
William the Pious, things like that.
Okay.
Or I think I was like Stephen the Deceitful or something, because I invented modern politics apparently.
You invented lying.
Evidently so. But yeah, it's a cool little game. It is one I can also recommend. It's a lot of fun. Sort of just a weird little thing. I know it has had sort of more stuff added to it over time, and I can't remember if this is like a sequel or a spin-off thing or something. But I know there is more to it, and I'll look into that another time. The last game I've played, and the second Warhammer game, is Warhammer Combat Cards.
Okay.
Which is...
I'm either immensely interested or immensely uninterested.
Okay.
I feel like there's no middle ground in this.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you the history.
Okay.
In 1988, there was a...
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. There was a Top Trumps style game called Citadel Combat Cards that Games Workshop released, and there was a bunch and it was basically just photographs of miniatures painted up nicely, and it worked like Top Trumps. There was other games you could play with it as well, but that was like the base sort of game. Over the years, there's been 4 editions of it. The last one came out in 2017. So they've kept it going. And the latest version of it, they made a mobile adaptation of. Originally, it was called Citadel Combat Cards, but at some point they rebranded it to just be Warhammer Combat Cards.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Although it is, as far as I am aware, exclusively Warhammer 40,000. So it's not got any fantasy stuff in it at all.
Yeah.
And
I mean, guy with gun beats guy with sword most times, I guess.
I mean, we are talking about Warhammer 40,000 here. So that's not a given.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
true.
especially if it's in a novel, guy with sword has plot armor. And if he's taking his helmet off, then you're fucked because he's a main character.
How big are his pauldrons?
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty big.
I did also realise after saying that there is also people with swords in 40k, so what I said is kind of completely wrong on every level. But
I mean, yeah, but I was trying to
be.
be polite about it, so.
Yeah, fair.
But
It's okay, we can edit that bit out.
I'm not sure we can.
No.
Not sure we can.
No,
If we can't edit out where I forgot to remove the pre-show bit, then we're not editing that out.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay.
But yeah, so the game sort of works where each turn you pick whether you want to fight. You lay down cards. Obviously, you have like a set of 3 cards you can put down at any one time, and you have to try and take out their leader card, which eventually you have to put down. Depending on how many you've got. If you've only got 2 cards, then you have to have it down from the off. But you can, in not quite a lot of circumstances, you'll have like 3 normal cards at least, and your leader kind of sits back. And you pick whether you want to fight with ranged, melee, or psychic. And your opponent can attack back, so it's about trying to find the ways in which you can fight, that you can hit them for harder than they can hit you.
Yeah.
And various little things can cause buffs and debuffs to happen to your attacks in various things. So like some things like when you use them will always like remove melee ability from their opponent. Things like that. And it's free. So I should mention that Warhammer Chaos and Conquest is also free. So, if you want to try it, you just can. This is another one that's just free, just works fine. Even on my aging phone, works totally fine. And yeah, it's not fantastic or anything, but as far as a game where you just slowly unlock more cards and just kind of fight stuff, it's fine to waste a bit of time on. As far as these kind of little time waster games go, it's not bad, and especially considering that some of the mobile Warhammer games have been pretty fucking rough. It has got microtransactions in it, so.
I'm pretty sure my kitchen has fucking microtransactions.
So it's not too bad. As far as those kind of things go, it's not too bad. And if you are going to give me microtransactions, then a microtransaction that allows me to buy Tiberius the Red Wake is, something I'm going to be a little more forgiving of. I mean, even if he is wildly overpriced. But yeah, I thought that was... So it's all right. It's all right. If you want something just while you wear your time on, that's not a bad little game. But that is the video games that I have been playing. So I will now turn over to the esteemed Drummond Matthew.
Oh.
The Drumbled Bee.
The Drumbled Bee. to hear what you have been doing with your time.
Okay, it sounded like you were trying to sort of extend that out because you were trying to delay for some reason.
It was partially because I was just looking at chat for a second, but
Okay,
you can lampshade it if you like.
Sorry. Okay, I've done a few things. Firstly, and importantly, Community is back on UK Netflix, so that's taken up quite a lot of my time.
My
going to be
brother will
honest.
be very happy.
Have you guys watched Community?
I have, and I'm like, eh.
I've seen a little bit of it. Yeah.
My brother's just like, oh my god, you have to watch. It's like, he bugged me for 6 months to watch Dexter because, quote, I was in it. Apparently I'm Deb. Whatever the fuck.
I mean...
Fuck you. I mean, yeah, but you're not supposed to say it. But yeah, and I finally watched it and I was like, this is great. And then the finale happened and I was just like, we can't be related anymore. So we had to basically forcibly estrange from each other. Sibling stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But Community.
Yes, Community. Community is...
A collection of people.
Sitcom set in a community college in the States. A bunch of, I think, 7 or 8 main characters start a Spanish study group as a sort of conceit, and then they just hang out, and it kind of escalates. I'm sure a lot of people know, but I think it's one of my favourite shows in terms, especially in terms of like sitcom comedy type thing. It's just.
How dare you blaspheme in Brooklyn Nine-Nine's house?
Okay, yeah, fair. It's probably not as good as Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but I reckon if it was because it's interesting going back and watching it. So the first season was released in 2009, and 2009 is long enough ago now where if you watch some things from them, it's a bit ooh.
Yeah.
Whereas rewatching this now, we've just got to the end of the first series, and it isn't like that. It holds up well. Like there's a few things in it that might not be exactly the same if it was made now. Fine, and it's a lot of its humor is based around sort of meta humor and that sort of self-awareness, which a lot of people do now, and a lot of places don't do it that well. So I don't know if it would have gone down as well if it was made now.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, I'm trying to dance around the phrase it started doing it before everyone was doing it and sound a bit too hipster about it, but it kind of was.
I mean, you're wearing dungarees, you have a beard, and you're drinking soy sauce. You can't help but look like a hipster.
Yeah, I mean, just own it, right?
Let your hipster flag fly.
But yeah, the Community is very, very good, and it's holding up really well, and that makes me really happy. And all 6 series are on Netflix, which
cool,
is...
cool.
It was more of a public service announcement, more than...
I might actually give it a proper watch, because I think one of the reasons why I never really gave it time was because it just wasn't easily available for a long time. So
it's one of those that's very easy to be like, oh, I'll just watch the next episode. Oh, I'll just watch the next episode. It's definitely one of those. I watched the 3rd season of Castlevania.
I need to see that, because Disharmony is in it. Again. But
so have you both not seen it then?
No, not seen it yet.
Same as like the new Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Netflix. I haven't seen either.
Okay.
You still haven't seen the last season.
No, but I don't obsessively watch the show like you do. So I just watch bits of it from time to time.
I mean, it's not
true.
that obsessive if you haven't watched the latest season, I guess. So
I mean, I suppose.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think that's defending you, but it might have been insulting you. I'm
Maybe.
not quite sure.
Honestly, with you, I can never tell. And honestly, I deserve praise and then swift retribution.
You're obsessive, but in this really lethargic kind of way.
I'm obsessive in a way where I have depression. Or I'm just like, I can't stop talking about it, but I never actually engage in it.
I mean, I didn't want to just lampshade it quite so much.
Mental health is okay.
Castlevania, yes, it is.
Having mental health issues is fine.
It is.
Despite what Drummer Matt says.
Hey, I'm not going to win this, am I?
No, because you have an inherent need to make sense. That is not a problem I have.
Hey, let me talk or I'll start dropping spoilers.
Shit, okay.
Castlevania Season 3 is very good. We finished it now. I was a bit skeptical when I started because the end of Series 2 is kind of... I don't know if everyone has watched the first 2 series, so again, I don't want to... But it sort of comes to quite a natural end at the end of Series 2.
Yeah, it alludes to...
And I was sort of like, where are they going to go with this?
Yeah, like alludes to all the things that could happen, but also if the series was to just end there, it'd be a really natural end point as well.
Yeah.
So
and like watching the first few episodes, the scale, because again, without going into details of what's happening, but the scale, it's a series, it escalates a bit throughout the first season, and then it keeps escalating to the end of the second series. So as TV series naturally do. And then the first 2 or 3 or 4 episodes of the third season, it's kind of just various characters faffing about a bit, and it's really enjoying to watch, but it sort of feels like it's the bit that goes between series. But in a way, it sort of cleansed the palate a bit, and it was like, you know what, rather than just keeping escalating, it's just watching the characters have fun and be the characters. And it was a really nice way of doing it, I think. And then it does go off and has like a plot that goes on, and it's really good.
Honestly, if it was just Treffy just sitting there like with what's her name? Cypher?
Yeah.
And like I would if it was just the OT3 hanging out, I would I would watch. I would be living for it. I wouldn't mind. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, so it's a really. I mean, again, it's only so much you want to say about these things without spoiling it, but it's a really. It is a. Yeah, I was a bit skeptical, but we really enjoyed it, and it's nicely animated. And I was reading a bit about all the details they go into behind the scenes that you don't really notice.
Oh yeah, like I saw some of the animatics and stuff of like how detailed, but also showing like how like the big library thing that you see in season 2, like how that is chock full of references to the history of Castlevania games. Which I should remind the dear listeners / viewers that the Castlevania series was hard rebooted at the Lords of Shadow games because even Konami went, nobody understands the plot of Castlevania anymore. It makes no sense. No one can follow it. Let's reboot it.
They still ain't done that for the Legend of Zelda. I mean, why does Zelda have a girl's name?
So, I mean, you don't want to get into the whole thing of timelines in Zelda. Oof.
No.
That's a whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, funny you should say that because this is skipping forward in my list of TV series and then moving to games, but that's a good segue. I've been playing Zelda.
Oh.
Finally.
Do you have any fucking clue what's going on at all?
Well, I mean...
Just say no.
It does quite a good job of basically saying... It's just the same story that happens over and over again through time. It doesn't really matter what order anything happens. I know it does, but it sort of just goes. It's just like a folktale that happens at every age throughout history. Yeah. It doesn't really matter how much of it is true and how much of it makes sense. It's just kind of the same gist of things happen and history repeats itself a bit.
You're not immune to propaganda.
I do feel that trying to like really get into like hard canon with the Legend of Zelda is slightly kind of missing the point, because it's just this kind of big grand story that is just iterated upon endlessly, and it's like I think you can get too bogged down trying to figure out where everything exists, you know.
Yeah, and to be honest, I played one on the Game Boy Color. I think it was the Game Boy Color remake of Link's Awakening.
Yeah, that was possibly the Game Boy one.
Is that a Game Boy one? I played the Game Boy Color.
Is it the one that has chain chomps in it?
Yes, it does.
Then that is Link's Awakening. Yes.
Although it's been a long time since I played it. Oh my!
I played a Legend of Zelda game on Newgrounds.
Yes, we know about the games you've played on Newgrounds, and you don't want to discuss them, not in polite company.
I'm just worried.
Are you thinking of the same? Oh, I might be thinking. No, of the
dude,
same game.
We were on mic chat like 7 years ago, and I sent you a link to it because it was the one where you fuck Navi, and you have to click to.
No, it wasn't Navi. It was Midna.
It was whatever. I don't know. Yeah. It was a Zelda person, and I literally sent it to you while I was playing it.
In a tiny pixie form as well. It was fucking wrong.
And then, like, but John and I were just like both sitting there going, "What even is this?" Playing it, of course, because we're amazing.
Yeah, and I've had it on bookmark ever since.
It's weirdly your wallpaper because you have an animated one because you just filmed yourself playing it for 30 minutes. It's a really jarring loop that also starts up with like YouTube opening up and then like a 10-hour Nyan Cat video starts playing, but only for about 5 seconds and it snaps back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. But Zelda.
Zelda.
Yeah. Sure.
Which one are you playing?
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Which is the first game I bought when I got my Switch, and then I played it for about an hour, I think. And I think I mentioned this, however long it was ago that I got the Switch, a year ago or so, 6 months ago, I can't remember. And I played it for about an hour, and I was like, this seems quite nice, and I'll let you know next time how I get on with it. And then I just never did.
Now you're playing video games like I do. I'm like, I played the first hour of this game. I'm really enjoying it. Never plays it again.
Well, I was trying to think about why. I've moved on to various other games. I got distracted by the Mario and Rabbids game for an alarming amount of time, which was concerning on many levels, but once again, excellent game, highly recommend. Who'd have thunk it? I was trying to work out why it was, and I think it's because it's open world, and I know a lot of games are open world, and it's a weird one because it's open world, and there's towers that you climb to unlock maps to new areas. It's the kind of definition of a Ubisoft game, but somehow it's better. But when you first start, it's like it's very much like you can go wherever you want, and that's its whole thing is that you can do whatever you want in whatever order. And I think I just got a bit intimidated by it. I was like, I don't quite know what I should be doing. I don't like. So I think that's why I sort of put it to the back burner and didn't want to like invest too much because I was a bit like, oh, I don't know. But I powered through the next hour or so and was like, okay, I'll just wander in a direction. Ended up on the top of a mountain somewhere, and then I haven't looked back since. It is. I mean, people have said it, and I'm sure this is breaking new ground here, but new ground. I've got new ground in my head, apparently.
Well, I mean, if you're around after the stream, we could multiplayer that game.
Yeah, it is an excellent game. And I don't quite know why, because it doesn't do anything new particularly, and it has really annoying mechanics, like the way to get your health back is you have to go and cook up items with ingredients. So you have to go and collect the ingredients, and then sit by a fire pot thing, go into your inventory, click on a few items that you can hold, come out of your inventory, click cook, wait for it to cook. Yes, there is a skip animation button, but it doesn't really skip much time. And then that just makes you the one thing, and then you have to go back into your inventory to do the same thing over and over again. And then you go around climbing towers, unlocking. If you try and explain it, it just sounds crap. I'm going to be honest, but there's just something about it that's just. It just feels so good.
It Stockholmed you somehow.
No, I don't even think it is that. I think it is genuinely good. Like, it's not just pretending to be. I think it is genuinely good. But I can't quite verbalise as to why.
It's because it's Skyrim made by a good developer.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
It's true and you shouldn't say it.
Yes, I'm having a lot of fun with that. I've just got the Master Sword, which is good, because the other annoying thing is that all your weapons have durability that you can't see.
Heard
so
it's
they just break
really
the point.
bad.
And yeah, like a lot of swords will last you a few minutes in a fight, like even the good ones.
So it's like Dark Souls 2 then.
It is a little, but you do find a lot of weapons. Like I'm at the point where like I'm having to abandon weapons and ditch them because I'm filling up you have like 10 weapon slots or something, and you can expand it as well as you go through the game. But you start off with a 10 or so weapon slots, and I'm definitely filling that up quicker than I'm using the durability on it. So it just means that you're cycling through weapons quickly, so it's not as annoying as it sometimes sounds like it would be.
Yeah, so
but it does mean, and in a way it means that you get used to fighting with lots of different weapons, because there's obviously you can use sword and shield, or you can use two-handed sword or spear or various things, and it sort of forces you to do that a bit, which I think is actually probably their intent.
Yeah, it does seem, because that's a similar thing that I think was the intent with the durability in Dark Souls 2, was that it meant that on big boss fights and things, you tend to have to swap out different weapons throughout the fight, so you got used to fighting different things. And I'm just going to say, Snipe, stop opening Pokemon Go on your fucking phone whilst we're doing a live podcast.
You
Jesus,
guys are so into this.
Just
fucking
no.
Whatever. Who can blame me? I am blameless.
That is so bad.
Look, the men are talking. I don't want to interrupt.
Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I am teasing. I'm just being silly.
Carry on.
Yeah, so I think I do like the durability is mentioned by some people as being annoying. I think that's one of the least annoying things. But okay, so I have the biggest criticism in the game. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
At various stables and in various towns, there are dogs.
Okay.
You can't pet the dogs.
Worst game. 0 out of 10. Hate it.
You can feed them like treats or like bits of like meat or whatever, and then they'll follow you around for a bit. You can interact with them, but you can't give them a pet. And I was reading, there's a whole article written about it because I googled. And I was like, is there a way of doing it? Because they must be, or they must have added it in the DLC or something.
I love how you stopped when you were like playing on your Switch and you were like, this can't be right. But put game down. I would do the same thing. I'm not like...
Everything else you do is so natural, and I know it's not groundbreaking that you've run up to a cliff and you just start climbing it or whatever, but it just sort of feels like, the way that you can do a lot of the things, it's all very... You don't really need much in the way of tutorials or learning. It's everything. It's sort of... when you go to zoom when you're paragliding, it slows down time slightly so you can aim better. And there's lots of little like quality of life things that make it really satisfying to play.
But you can't pet the dogs.
But
So
you
what
can't
the fuck
pet the
is
dogs.
the
And I
point
was like,
in
well,
that game?
there must be a way of doing this. So yeah, I googled it, and apparently the reason is because the design philosophy is that they tried to make there's only a few actions you can do in the game. So you can jump and you can sprint and you can attack, and that's basically it. And all of those things in different contexts work how you'd expect them to work. And they didn't want to add a whole new action or some sort of bullshit. And I was like, well,
Yeah, that's absolutely
get that.
bullshit.
But also,
Dogs need to be petted.
petting the dog is not like a big deal, hard to put in.
If
I mean, I'm sure it is, but compared to everything else they've done, it's really not.
if Assassin's Creed can let you pet dogs,
So that is
Zelda
my
can
biggest
let you pet
criticism.
dogs.
I like.
Aside from that, it's good.
I do love you. Like, oh yeah, this is a great game. However, there is this inexcusable gap in its game design.
No, I agree. He's got a very valid
You
point.
joke, but it is kind of genuinely inexcusable. Like, if you put a dog in your game, let you pet the dog.
I want to pet the dog. It's like,
Don't
you
make
know,
me thinking about
dude,
nothing here. It is a real issue.
in WoW, you can pet dogs and cats.
In like
literally-
basically,
I'm gonna say just typing /pet doesn't
No, no,
count.
no, seriously. In like, in Legion Onward, they added like little like people's pets, not like NPC pets. So like, you go to certain places and there's an NPC who has a cat called Truffles,
Okay.
and you right click on them and your character kneels down and pets them, and then they giggle.
Okay.
It's
then
like
that's,
if
that's
WoW
great.
can do it, if Blizzard can do it.
yeah,
Nintendo
I take being able
fucking
to
can.
pet one specific dog. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to pet. I just.
To be honest,
I
just
saw the
petting-
cutest little French bulldog today.
Oh.
They were like that big, and they looked like an onion, and it was so cute. I like the when you.
I
Sit
like
there,
the idea that because the listening audience won't know how big that big is, they're
Oh.
probably just thinking that you're talking.
Because my video feed from you is cut off on halfway of both your faces.
Okay, so it's like, does anybody know the half-size Warburton loaf?
Fucking hell, love.
You know the half-size.
Specifically Warburton, or can own brand co-op bread be okay?
Well, as long as it's the half loaf, the small baby loaf. Like, I
Yeah,
call
yeah,
it the
fair
toasty loaf because it fits in the toaster perfectly, whereas
Yeah,
the big
because
ones.
they make toasters that don't fit normal bread.
Yeah,
in for
what
some...
the fuck? That is a whole nother kettle of
That-
fish.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it was the size of like a half loaf of bread. Like that, like with my hands, I'm like showing the size of half a loaf of bread.
You're not good
it had
once
these-
videos introduced, are you?
No, and it had these little like pepperami legs.
You are describing a Lovecraftian abomination. I've got onion, loaf of bread, pepperami legs. Was it a dog, or did someone just drop their shopping and you just weren't looking properly?
Okay, I was huffing a lot of paint, but that is beside the point. But no, and its head looked like an onion because it was like bleh, it was like at the point at the top.
Again, you did a
I just
physical
described
action.
it. I just described it.
Going bleh isn't a description.
Everyone gets what I mean, right? Comment below, please. But yeah.
Fucking hell.
Sorry. Someone in chat has just said, "Are we sure Snipe did not just see a sandwich?"
I mean,
and that is the best.
That is what I am currently like aiming towards. That's my belief.
No. And it was like doing, the small dog thing when they're about the size of half a loaf of bread, and they can't. Their legs are so close to the ground, they kind of just do the swoosh thing where they look like they're having trouble walking. Or they look like they've been animated by like a year one animation student. So their legs just bolt out in any direction. And I was like staring at this dog. I was walking on my own, and I to be fair, I probably did look pretty scary because I had like mirror aviators on and an RPD shirt and boots. Just walking really quickly with my phone because I was playing Pokemon Go. Because fucking of course I was.
You got a land of contrast here.
Thank you. And I was like looking over the dog and I was like making faces like, oh, like horrible faces. And I look up at the owner and they're like looking at me like, what the fuck is your problem?
In fairness, they were the one walking a loaf of bread, so really, they're not
know
going to
what?
judge you.
Yeah, they were the one who decided to take their fucking lunch for a walk. Their adorable little lunch. But yeah. So now everyone thinks that I'm fucking crazy and I have no object like permanence when it comes to dogs or sandwiches. So
Yeah.
great.
So all in all, this podcast was worth it just for that, really. I think. Matt, do you want to talk a little bit more about Zelda?
Well, there's no. Yeah, I've got to the Master Sword, so I don't know how far through because you can do anything any order. So who knows? I've done enough shrines to unlock enough heart things to be strong enough to get that. And I've taken down one out
Matt,
of the 4.
I've got to say, I think your heart is very strong and beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I have 13 of them. So
You should stop stealing them from children.
I don't have 13 of them anymore. I sold some of them.
Honestly, like...
legitimately, you could... Yeah.
Wait, is there a black market organ trade in Legend of Zelda?
When you do the shrines, which are sort of like the mini dungeon things, you
steal people's hearts?
No, you get spirit orbs, and then with 4 spirit orbs, you can either get a heart container, so you get a new heart, or you can get a bit more stamina for your stamina wheel, so you can climb higher or glide longer. And I was getting mostly stamina stuff because health stuff is fine most of the time. You can just fight people and use potions and things. But stamina, if you want to go a long way, it was really useful to have that. But there's a random statue somewhere that you go to and you can sell bits of either your stamina or hearts and then buy back the other thing at a loss. So the statue makes a profit out of it because, if you can't have capitalist statues, why bother, really? So,
capitalist statues. Holy shit.
So,
I'm sure they spend their money well.
So once I had enough stamina that I knew that I'd be able to have enough hearts, I sold all my stamina, bought a load of hearts, went and got the Master Sword, and then sold all my hearts back for stamina. And yeah,
when I've had this before when I've been talking with a friend or like Wib in like line at the grocery store back when those were a thing, and you'd be
when people could hear you when you're in a line.
Yeah. And and I'd be saying, I'd be talking about like Rainbow Six or something. It's like, okay, so we're in the kids' bedroom and they start fortifying the walls, and I'm like, look, no one enters the kids' bedroom, and there's people rappelling outside, and I'm like, I have an entry shotgun, so I'm like, you know what, fuck it, I'm taking the master bedroom. They can't stop me. And like, there'd be an old lady being like, fucking hellfire! And just being scared of what you're talking about. I feel that this is one of those conversations, even when I know everything that you're saying, it is still deeply concerning to me. Where it's like, so I got a bunch of hearts, and then I sold them to the capitalist statue, and it gave me a bigger sword, and then I sold all of my strength to it, and I got my hearts back.
Hey, come on, with the current economy, selling organs might be all that's left for us.
Yeah. Moving on from that. But yeah, Master Sword is good because it doesn't break with durability issues. It runs out of being a sword for a while, and then you just wait 10 minutes and it comes back to being a sword.
So it has a refractory period.
I mean,
too much thrusting.
yeah, exactly, right? It thrusts a load, and then it does explode when it runs out of energy. So, I mean, yeah, right? I hadn't even thought of that. But it does explode and you see blue shiny things come up all over the screen. So.
That's censorship. That's Japanese censorship right there. They don't want to see what's really coming out of the Master Sword.
I'm just going to put it out there that I don't think Nintendo intentionally programmed their games so that the Master Sword violently ejaculates.
I can't use that again for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Time to drink some orange juice.
I named my sword Bait because then it makes more sense.
Oh yeah, because it's the Master Sword Bait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the joke he was.
But yeah, if anyone wasn't sure, Zelda is a good game, and I don't know why it took me this long to properly get into it. But don't play it
because you can't pet the dog, but you can jerk off a big sword until it just spats, and then you can't use it for like a certain amount of time.
Yeah. Circling back around, just 2 last quick things. So we've been watching, and I haven't quite finished, but we've watched 5 out of the 6 episodes, a series on BBC called Noughts and Crosses.
Okay, I've
Is
never
it
heard of
literally
this.
just competitive like Noughts and Crosses?
No, it's
because I'm here for that.
It's a really it's based off a book by I want to say I've completely forgotten the author's name. Is it Mallory Blackman or is that another person I'm thinking of? I can't remember. Citation needed. I'm sure someone will point me out. I'm wrong, but it's based on a book or a series of books. I think there's like 5 or 7 of them. I can't remember. One of those trilogies of 5 or 7 books, I think.
Yes, those notable trilogies. It's like the Robert Rankin's Brentford trilogy that has, I think, 5 books in it.
But it is set in an alternate world where back, I think it's 700 years ago. I'm not sure much of the backstory because I think they obviously go into more detail in the book. But around 700 years ago, an African tribe invaded Europe and took over it rather than Europeans invading the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So it's sort of set in a world where where African people and black people are in charge of. It's set in the UK, or Albion as it's called. They're in charge, and it's sort of just a role reversal of how our society sort of is, and it's very exaggerated in a lot of ways, but also alarmingly not in a lot of ways.
It's sort of an alternate history of reverse colonialism.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it's a really interesting setting, and I really now want to read the books. And there's all manner of political stuff we can get into, and it's a lot, obviously, lots of very important
Dude,
points.
we're already being super political. I'm in the podcast.
This is true.
So yeah,
and it is good, and I really do want to read the books, but it's not that well made, and it's nicely filmed, and it's a nice script, and it obviously has a bit of a budget, but there's only 6 episodes, and it's so badly paced and badly edited. It's really weird. Like we have like no connection. A lot of emotional things happen, and I'm not going to go into exactly what, but you can imagine the sort of of like police brutality and proper heavy stuff in it that obviously is affecting us because of what is happening, but we're not connected to the characters enough because we haven't seen enough of them, and it's things happen and characters develop in ways that you're like, wait, you've just like flipped between scenes, and that, like, you feel like there's bits missing that where the development would logically take them that way, but you just don't see it. And it's just little things like at the start of the episode you get a flashback to the previous episode, previously on, sort of thing, and it does that, and it's like fast cut various bits. But then it keeps doing fast cut bits, but it's not a flashback. It's new information, new things happening, and you're like, and then it takes you a few minutes. You're like, wait, did we miss this bit in the last episode? Oh no, this is new stuff. This is the now episode.
It sounds like they didn't get as many episodes as they thought they were going to get.
Yeah, exactly. It is. They really should have made it over the course of at least like 10 or so episodes, if not more. They're hour-long episodes, so it's 6 hours long. So it's not short.
I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, oh yeah, this topic is like spicy, so let's not give it the best editors, let's not give it the most money, and let's give it only a few episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if that
maybe,
was the
because I
case.
really want to like it, because it is really interesting and properly like, emotional and heavy. So various trigger warnings and things, but if you're wanting a happy, nothing good has happened yet. It's got a slight case of the horrible thing, and
also it's kind of like a little bit misery, kind of
which,
porn. Yeah.
Considering the setting, is justified.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
Also, I think we've spoken about this before with series that are too negative, and then there's not enough of the sort of levity thrown in there in between, just to mean that the heavy stuff has more of an impact. And that, combined with the fact that you don't get to know the characters as much as you feel like you should, sort of takes away slightly from it. It is good, and it's a really interesting setting. And like the sort of, if you're at all in any kind of ignorance about how our world sometimes is right now, it really does bring it home quite dramatically. And like I say, I think it is, a lot of the things that happen are exaggerated, but probably not as much as they should be. I mean, like, in terms of, it's probably, the world is, the sort of place it is. It does hit home. But I just wish that it was a bit better.
I'd like this, but not as bad.
So no, I really want to read the books once. So at some point, when the libraries are reopening, I would probably be getting those. Because if the books were good as the show, but with more detail, they sound great. Would recommend if you've got access to BBC stuff.
And if you've got spoons for it.
What was it called again?
Yeah, Noughts and Crosses. Okay. Because noughts, white people are noughts and black people are crosses, and I think it doesn't explain in the show why that's the case.
Yeah.
But that's just the sort of the way that little people refer to each other.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Slurs rarely come from a place of like logic. So
yeah.
Not wrong.
But yeah, it is good, and I think it's worth watching. I just wish it was a little bit more. It had a little bit more time to develop stuff. But who knows? Maybe there's a second series, and it can sort of go into the backstory and setting a bit more.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm interested in, the setting. Like the actual main story is interesting, but too rushed. But the setting itself is really interesting. The very last thing I've been doing is on new Netflix show by Pendleton Ward. who did Adventure Time
Oh.
and Bravest Warriors and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I saw that today. It's been suggested to me, and it's
Yeah.
basically adult Adventure Time.
Yeah, I saw the trailer
Kind
for it, and I was like, well, okay, I guess that's what he's doing now. Cool.
Well, it's called The Midnight Gospel,
That's
and it's animated in the Adventure Time. Is it Cal Art style? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't really. Yeah, I'm sure there's subtleties, and I don't know, but it looks a bit like Adventure Time. It's just, and I'm sure everyone knows what Adventure Time looks like, either because they've watched it or just because they exist.
and they say swears in it.
They do, and we only watched one episode, but it's really good. We watched it, and it's basically the main character seems to like live in some, and we don't know enough of the setting at all because we only watched one episode. But the main character lives in some sort of higher realm where they can somehow teleport to a lot of different dimensions or universes or worlds or settings at least. So he teleports to this one setting, which is Earth, where there's a zombie apocalypse happening. And I think the conceit is that they always go to an Earth or a world where there's some sort of apocalypse type something happening. But I'm not sure because, again, I've only seen the first episode. But he just goes down there, and then he has like basically a podcast or a vidcast or something in his home setting that he
Like
just
a
goes down there with a
vlog.
microphone. Yeah, and he just does an interview with someone. So he just picks a person who, in this case, happens to be the president. Just has a chat and basically records a podcast with them while all this other stuff's happening. And it's just like, it's a visual podcast. Like, you could just watch it without the video and it would just be a podcast. But it works so well. I don't know what. And then we looked into it, and the guy who voices the main character, and I've completely forgotten his name, but he's a podcast host.
Okay.
And he has a podcast where he interviews people. And the people that he's interviewing are various people who are just people in a certain field who are clever enough or intelligent enough or interesting enough or whatever to be a podcast guest. So it's just a podcast, but then they've animated it, and sort of the story, they do reference it in the audio, and they do occasionally sort of, when they're fighting off the zombies, they occasionally make like effort noises or things like that. But mostly they kind of ignore the setting and they're just having a podcast. And then in the background you see them shooting all the zombies away and things. It works really well, I think. It's really satisfying to watch. And like, I've only seen the first episode, like I say, so I don't know if the rest of it holds up or whether it sort of gets a bit repeaty. But I think if they get a different, effectively podcast guest on each episode, I mean, the episodes are going to be as interesting as whatever guest they've got.
It does sound like a very strange conceit.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it is exactly the sort of TV that should be released right now when everyone is suddenly recording and listening to podcasts. So it's kind of perfect.
I don't know what you're saying. We say recording a live streamed podcast.
But yeah, there's something weirdly satisfying about watching these two people just have it starts off they're having a conversation about legalizing drugs and things, and then it kind of swerves off into what I don't even know what they're talking about by the end. But yeah, and in the background you see them like exploding zombies, and they go to like they're driving a monster truck to a Fort City shopping mall thing that's like a safe zone where you see some scientists develop a cure. But all of that's just in the background. It is just happening at them while they're just walking through it, all recording a podcast. It is bizarre, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, and it's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix,
I'll give it a shot. I didn't realise it was out yet. So because I remember seeing.
I assume it's all out. I'm not actually sure if they're doing a staggered release or whether they've done it all at once, to be honest. But at least a few episodes will be out by now, I imagine, at least, if not all of it. So yeah, I recommend.
Cool.
And that is me done.
Okay.
Snipe,
Hi.
you are next.
Oh,
Inform us of your actions. Justify yourself.
you do not want to know what I've done.
I mean,
I have done things, unforgivable things.
things that are between you and whatever god you praise.
Hey, as long as it's in the house.
This is between me and Chris Redfield. Speaking!
I go out in the bath with your god, to be honest.
I have no idea what you mean. I say, holding up a Nendoroid of Geralt in the Bath next to
That
my.
is not only go out in the bath.
No, I have two of them, and I think Longfang bought me both of them, so he's my enabler.
Okay.
Oh, I've honestly I've not played many games because it's been a little rough mental health wise, but I have watched a good few like horror movies.
Ooh, excellent. Good ones or horror movie? Horror movie?
Yes, like actually good ones, like the Child's Play remake.
You told me about one bit of it that honestly I want to watch solely for that bit.
If you want to watch it with me, I would love to because it is so fucking funny. Okay, so Child's Play, the original one was campy, silly slasher garbage where this murderer starts screaming voodoo in the middle of a toy store and possesses a buddy doll. And it just goes from there. Now,
the original does have Brad Dourif, though, playing Chucky.
yeah, whereas in
he's
this
great.
one it's Mark Hamill, which I didn't realise until after. But Mark Hamill is a joy, so I don't mind.
Always.
Always. But yeah, it is so fucking funny. And they've got, like, kid actors that are really good.
Huh.
There's like one or two that are a bit but honestly, like the main kid character is fantastic. Like he's really good, and it's just about like that they've kind of updated the body, so it's kind of like an interactive like Alexa kind of thing. So it's like
a smart device.
It's like a smart device that can be a friend to your kid. You know,
I mean, that's already a horror film.
yeah. I mean, like just fucking. You play video games like I did. But yeah, and like it starts off, it's not really a spoiler, but like trigger warning, suicide is like in the first like few minutes of the movie, whereas there's just some poor fucking guy in like this sweatshop in Vietnam who's getting smacked about by his manager and paid like fucking $1 a day, and he's like, he kind of snaps and he just disables all like the safety locks in the doll's programming and is like fuck it, and then he jumps off the roof and everyone's like, oh, this is fine. So that's how the doll gets a bit weird.
I like how it's not a million miles away from Small Soldiers.
It's way better than Small Soldiers.
I mean, most things are better than Small Soldiers.
Yeah. But no, I was like every now and again I'll watch a horror movie because I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting, or I'll watch a horror movie because I'm like, this is gonna suck and I want to be entertained. But no, like, I was very pleasantly surprised. It's really funny. It's got a weird amount of heart to it. It's very well written. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil the perfect line. Or should I say?
I think you kind of have to, because it's a line that will make people want to do it.
Okay, so there's like, the main kid, I think his name is Andy, is like showing his Chucky doll off.
Andy. Like Toy Story.
I think that maybe that's a reference. Or maybe that was like the kid's name in the original. I honestly can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen it. And he's like showing off his Chucky doll because he tries to give him a name. He's like, hey, would you give me a name? And he's like, Han Solo. And the kids go, oh, and like the thing's like, oh, okay, my name is Chucky. And he's like, what? No, stupid fucking doll. And so that's how he gets the name Chucky. And like a bunch of his mates are like hanging out in like the local park with Chucky, and he's kind of sat over there with a couple of friends, and he's watching another group of mates play with it. And that like they give him a pair of scissors and they're on their like cell phones trying to record him, and they're like, okay, now stab the cuddly unicorn with the pair of scissors and say, this is for Tupac, you know. And it's like, oh yeah, that's funny. And then the kid comes up and it's like, what the fuck are you doing with my doll, leave it alone. And then like I'm not gonna say who or like when, but Chucky like has this massively elaborate kill later on with like, oh god, it is nuts. It is very fun. But the person isn't dead, so like Chucky scrambles on up to them, holds up a knife and goes, this is for Tupac, and fucking stabs him. I fucking died laughing. It was just so perfectly like bang. That was so punchy. It was amazing. But yeah, and it's really good. I was actually very, very pleased with it.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked because like remakes of classic, I'll do air quotes for that, classic horror films quite often end up a bit.
Well, I mean, like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake,
Oh,
honestly,
that sucks.
it was nearly good, because, I mean, well, it wasn't. But
I don't
it nearly
know.
had a decent idea, because it was like, halfway through the movie, they're like, oh yeah, so we killed this guy because we thought he was a child murderer. And then it's like, for about 10 minutes, the movie tries to make you think that he wasn't, and parents just decided to like frontier justice him because they were like, it's probably him, and that's why he's a vengeful spirit. It turns out, no, he's just...
He is what he is.
He is what he is. And it was like, you could have been so interesting
You
with
could have
that.
actually had something that was subversive there.
Yeah.
And flip it around. Also, that movie had a problem that you didn't know who the protagonist was for the first 20 minutes of the movie because they kept introducing protagonists to you and then they die.
But
and then
literally,
you go,
like, half an hour in, they were like, this is Nancy, the main character. And it's just like, if you fucking say so, sure.
Yeah, so it means that for the first, like, 15 minutes with the actual main character, you're sort of geared to not care about them because you've just seen two of them die. So you're just like... And then you go, this is the character you're supposed to care about.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to do the Wes Craven thing of his movies almost always start out with a blonde girl, and in the first few minutes she gets murdered. And then it goes on to like a brunette woman because apparently blonde women are just fodder or something. I don't know, there's probably nothing deeper to it than that. But, so they kind of reference that by having like, let's put a few blondes in for the first half hour and then just keep killing them off, and you're like, what? But no, anyway, Child's Play remake, really good. It's a horror comedy, done very well, and it does embody the spirit of like the campy 80s kind of like horror movie. Like I love campy 80s like slasher movies. Like I love them. And it does well. So yeah, I can recommend that. Played some Doom 64.
Yes.
That was a weird experience.
Played that on stream.
So, like, Doom 64 is, like, the Doom 1 for the N64?
Yeah,
but it's like...
They basically built a whole new Doom for the N64, rather than... I can't remember why they did this, but they did that rather than porting regular Doom over to it.
Which, honestly, didn't go well for a lot of ports. Doom ports were legendarily terrible.
Have you actually played the SNES one? Ain't great.
I played the PlayStation 1 one and I got super mad at it because it was garbage.
Oh, that came out before analog sticks, didn't it? So you had to that was like, if you want to strafe, you have to hold down the shoulder pads.
It was hand cramp, just forever. It was the worst. And honestly, like it was a lot different. It wasn't run and gun because it was designed for a console and like a controller. So I'm like trying to jump around and be twitchy and like twitch shooting kind of stuff, and it's just slow. And I'm like, it's quite a difficult readjustment period. So I was like, oh, okay, so is Doom, but not quite Doom.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It's
Legend of Zelda.
If Doom 3 feels more like a sequel to Doom 64 than Doom 2.
Shit, you're right. But they don't have a torch in Doom 64.
Well, you don't need it, so...
No, I'm saying, you remember the Vorpal torch when us three
shit,
recorded?
Yeah.
Fucking like 8 years ago, us three recorded a not let's play, but like a quick play kind of thing of Doom 3. And I found out in the video, I did not figure this out beforehand, that you could like, if you moved to like away and then moved towards like a friendly NPC, after you've started swinging the torch, you fucking vaporize them in one hit.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was more powerful than fucking BFG.
Yeah, it's a pity it didn't work on enemies as well, because if so, you'd just be immortal.
Would have been amazing. But yeah. And honestly, yeah, it's weird. It's a lot slower, and it's a lot more puzzle and timed kind of puzzle-based, which... Oh, it shit me off after a while. I got a bit fed up with it, because I'm like, I just want to kill things. I'm that guy. And it was like, oh yeah, you need to like go here, go there, and then go over there, get this, but you've got to do it while running, and you can't. You got to do jumping puzzles as well. And I was like, look, this would have been perfect for the N64. For PC, I'm getting a bit cranky with it, especially because it's Doom, and I'm not used to this, so I've got like old woman syndrome.
So it's a port of Doom for the N64 that's now on PC as well.
It came out as a pre-order for like it was like a thing that they threw in if you pre-ordered bonus. Doom Eternal, which Seamus bought me, so I got that. Yeah.
Yeah, and because it is its own unique game, then it sort of does warrant porting the weird port.
Yeah, a port of a port.
It's an interesting.
The mere fact that it's playable is quite impressive, to be honest.
I do look at it as its sort of mirror universe Doom.
It is, but I'm sure like bits of Doom Eternal are kind of low key in canon with it, or at least reference
they are.
with it.
I sort of think about the other day. That's explicit because I think it's the director of the game. The first Doom game he ever played was Doom 64, so he wanted to include bits of it.
Fair.
So yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. And that's another thing we have to cut out usually in recording sessions, but now we can't.
It's not happened too often, to be fair. So
I think it's because quarantine is in effect and people aren't allowed outside. So, I watched a movie called Black Mercy, which was another horror movie. It's pretty good.
It does sound like they've just picked names out of a hat.
There's like the boogeyman in that movie is called Mercy Black. So it's like, maybe I've got it the wrong way around. Ooh, spooky. Ooh. Who knows?
I think it probably was called Mercy Black, considering that's the character in the...
Yeah, I think it probably was then. I think I just got confused after I'd watched it and wrote it down. But yeah, and that's like basically, it's... You know how, like, there was a couple of those attempted murders with, like, little kids trying to kill their friends for Slender Man? That kind of creepy shit, where the kids like, Slender Man wants a blood sacrifice, let's trick one of our friends into, I don't know, chewing on a knife or letting me stab them or something horrible. It's kind of a bit like that, where you're following like the like the adult of a lady, like she's been in an institute for like 15 years. And she's being released, and she's like, oh shit, because she was basically complicit in a murder of her friend. That was, like, her friend convinced her to kill this other girl, so she would be like an offering to Mercy Black. And it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty heavy. And it just kind of goes through, like, how she's not sure if it's because, you know, she's been diagnosed with, like, schizoaffective disorder and other kind of things. Mental illnesses that give hallucinations and stuff. So she's kind of like, I'm on my tablets, and I've gone back to my sister's house, you know, basically like the family farmhouse and where my sister and her son lives. And she's kind of like seeing little bits and bobs, and is just like, no, it's okay. No, it's just my brain. It's just because, you know, and it's kind of like the whole, is this real? Is this not? Nephew is a terrible actor. But, you know, he starts talking. Oh, no, I think he's decent. But yeah, like, and he starts talking about, like, oh, who's Mercy Black? And then, like, it kind of spirals, and this, like, people end up getting murdered. And you're like, oh, shit, what's going on? And, like, weird shit happens. And honestly, I didn't expect it to be as entertaining as it was, but it was pretty entertaining.
This is another Netflix job, isn't it?
All these are on Netflix. So that was pretty.
Other streaming services are available.
I mean, yeah, but they cost money, so.
I mean, so does Netflix.
Yeah, and the last horror movie I saw was Dark Skies, which was so bad it was hilarious. Let me tell you. So, I only realized like 75% of the way through that this was an alien movie. I thought it was a poltergeist movie. Because it was throwing out all the signs for a poltergeist movie.
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, how Predator doesn't really signal what it is for most of the movie.
That's fantastic, but, like, Predator was good.
Well, I say most of the movie. I mean, like, the first third, but...
Yeah. But no, it was, like... So, of course, it's, like, mum, dad, and, like... Is it 2 kids? I can't even fucking remember.
There was 2 kids, I remember that, yeah.
Okay, and, like, the youngest one is, like... Oh, there's Mr. Smiley, or fucking whatever. Like, this kid is a terrible fucking actor. I mean, most of them are pretty bad. And, like, the mum goes downstairs, and there's just, like... All the contents of the cupboard is just stacked up. Like, a la Paranormal Activity, just everything on the tables and everything balanced really weird, and she's like, oh fuck, that's a bit strange.
Which sort of makes sense when it's poltergeist, but when it's aliens, it's suddenly like, oh, no, wait.
I think they explain it later and go, aliens, what, the Greys, TM, trademarked it, so they can fucking slap merch on it. But yeah, it's like this guy's like, J. Jonah Jameson is like, oh yeah, well, the Greys, first of all, when they announce their presence, it's already too late. They'll start doing weird things, like stacking everything out of your kitchen cupboards on top of each other in the middle of the night. You're like, well, how the fuck? Dude, you could have just gone like, oh yeah, like, yeah, moving things, like stacking shit, you know, they just sit there and just, like, the Greys get bored and they're like, hey, I bet you 5 fucking space money that I can put this woman's beans on top of her fucking fan and she won't notice. And then he loses 5 space money or whatever.
I think that is the only explanation for it.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, it's like when they start taunting you. And it's like, why do they start taunting you? Especially because if you're going to be acting erratically and stuff. And it's like, there's one part where the woman, like, the wife goes down looking for her husband and he stood in the garden going, with his mouth open, and it is so fucking funny because it's just like she's like, oh, generic husband name, Carl, what are you doing in the garden? And he's just standing there, like, typical horror shot with his back to her, and she's like walks around and he's got his mouth open and is like, he looks so silly, and he doesn't say anything for a moment, and I was just like, is she gonna put her finger in his mouth? I would have been like that, but no, he's just like, oh, and then his nose just goes and explodes with blood, and then he just turns on his heel and marches the fuck back into the kitchen, and is all like, I don't even remember getting out of bed, and now I have a nosebleed. It might be aliens. And she's like, I've been telling you, Carl, it's aliens. And he's like, you know what, Bethany, or whatever the fuck your name is, it's probably fucking aliens.
You know, I was in the room while you were watching this. None of the actors sound anything like this.
I mean, they did in my head, so that's fine.
I feel like you're wildly misrepresenting this movie.
No,
but
I'm
also
not.
Not as much as you think.
Not as much as you'd hope. Like, I am kind of, like, playing it up a bit. But yeah, then they go to see, like, J. Jonah Jameson, and he's gotten bored of pictures of Spider-Man. Now he wants pictures of Greys and Alamals. And he's like, yeah, there are 3... Because he sounds all like the dad.
I forget, what's the actor's name who plays J. Jonah Jameson?
It starts with a J.
I always forget. I always forget the actor's name because he's great.
It's like Peter Parker.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
There we go.
But
yeah, and he's like this old guy who lives in this shitty apartment with like a million
cats. Is it actually
cats.
J.K. Simmons in this film?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like...
So he's like, I mean, he was the most enjoyable part because he's like a good actor and very charismatic. So like during his scenes, I was like, this is fucking stupid, but God, I'm enjoying it. Nice. And he's like, oh yes, the Greys, there's 3 types of aliens, because that's how he talks. He's like, there's the Greys, there's the...
reptilians?
No. Then there's like the other ones, and then there's the 3rd kind, the reptilians, which, you know, wackos think are in the government, but aliens are real. And that's why I have 47 cats, because they don't like dogs. And then they just go to a fucking, like, the mum goes to a dog pound with her, like, 7-year-old son, and is like, okay, we need a dog. And he's like, is it because of the aliens? And she's like, shut up, James, not now, we're getting a dog. And then they go up to, like, a German Shepherd that's like, this dog's name is Clyde. Why do I remember the dog's name? The dog's name actually is Clyde. I don't remember anyone else's name but the dog's. And it's like, warning, very aggressive, and the dog's just like barking, and she's like, this one'll do, and it's like, there's no way they'd let you walk out of there with that dog if they were that aggressive with a child.
And they go, are you sure you want this hyper-aggressive dog in your family house? Are you sure?
And she's like, yeah, it's to fight the aliens,
fine.
and they're like, whatever the fuck you say, just pay the adoption fee. Christ, yeah. And it's just like, and then it's like, oh yeah, they've all implanted you with their, like, mind control devices, and I'm like, this is like an anti-5G movie or something.
Just wait for those. Those will start coming out in a couple of years.
Yeah, and it's like, the husband's like, I'm so itchy behind my ear.
That is like a real, I say real. It's a
it's a reference to actual complaints some people have alleged.
it's a conspiracy theory like thing about like people who think who claim to be abducted and they have like metal implants in them.
I've got metal implants as well, but not because I've been abducted by alien mouse.
Because you went to a place and asked them to pierce holes in you.
Yeah, I paid a professional to stab me with a needle. It was awesome. And I'd do it again if the shops were open. But yeah, honestly, it was just so silly. It was actually pretty entertaining because it was just so silly. And the little boy was such a bad actor. And like the actual Alamals, when they show up, they're all like, they're like Slender Man with bad posture. They're like,
that's the backache is the real enemy.
Yeah, they're just like, heed our warnings, humans. Lumbar support is paramount, or fucking whatever. And they just kind of
Don't be hunched at your computer chairs all day. Remember to take breaks.
Take a break 10 minutes every hour. We'll now gonna steal your child. Goodbye.
That is unrelated to the back thing.
Yeah, it's like OSHA decide to like come and visit you.
If you've got one violation of health and safety, they steal your child.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, okay, there should be child locks on those things because no OSHA, like, operative, because they're operatives, can actually open, like, child-proof doors. So that's why they stacked all that shit in the kitchen, kind of like, see, shouldn't be doing this. And, oh god, there's also a part where the woman is, like, she's, like, a real estate saleswoman.
A realtor. Because they're American. It's an American movie.
A realtor, yeah. So she's like, oh my god, this is such a nice house. You could, like, raise a family here. And it comes with a washing machine. And then she's like, and she snapped. And then she just walks into the window and headbutts it until, like, she wakes up in bed and is like, my head hurts. Probably nothing. And it's like, okay, why would the aliens do that? Because apparently, like, it is specified that the aliens just do this, and they've been doing it for hundreds of fucking years. And it's like, okay, well then, why would they be like, hey, Space Jerry, check this out. I'm gonna make this silly woman bang her head until she's concussed. It's gonna be so fucking lit.
Okay, I'm gonna put it this way. You've played...
Oh my god, we're the Sims
Yes,
again!
I was literally saying that. You've played The Sims.
Oh, but Dark Skies is literally like, I hope one of the subtitle tracks on the DVD is like Simlish. So she's like screaming after a kid going, Glooby Clark! That would be amazing! Okay, you know what? I take it back. This movie is fucking flawless. It's amazing. I get it now.
Flawless, amazing, perfect.
Perfect. Mwah.
Amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Chef kiss. Mwah. Okay, I've also been playing Resident Evil 3 Remake, and I have been playing so much of this game. It's remake.
Oh, the remake, sorry, okay.
Yeah, God, Matt, get with the fucking times, oh my god. Yeah, Longfang bought me this. So many people buy me games. Thank you, everybody. It's very nice. And it's, as it says, it's a remake of Resident Evil 3. And it is fucking awesome! And it's way better than Resident Evil 2 Remake, because sorry. In RE2 Remake, there's the Mr. X segments where he's just chasing you constantly. And it is so stressful, and there's no reprieve from that when it's happening.
From what I've heard about Resident Evil 3, from what I vaguely remember, is that not the entire game, basically?
No, he does show, like, Nem does... That's the name of the tyrant that's chasing you.
No,
Nem kill Chan.
It's not called that. It's not. It's called Nemesis.
Nem.
You call it Nem, and that's fine, and I support your actions, but...
I want to see a cat mod for him so he can be Nyan.
That definitely exists.
No, but you get the sexy version where he's in like a Speedo. There's also a nude Carlos mod that's jiggle-boned.
Good.
Not even joking. Very well done. I'm actually just warm. I am fanning myself, but it's just because I'm warm, not because I was thinking of the nude Carlos.
Oh my.
Just spit on my boobs, apparently. Okay. I'm no good at this.
You're welcome, listening audience.
Hi.
Yeah, you guys don't know how much of this usually gets cut. Now you know.
That's the problem. That's the problem with these live ones. It exposes our complete lack of ability to podcast to
I think
everybody.
you mean my complete and utter failure at podcasting, and you guys just trying to navigate my bullshit.
We just try and aim you in the right direction, you know.
You can't stop a runaway train.
I mean, you can try, and that's about it.
You can try by throwing yourself under it, but all in all, you'll just gum up my tracks a little.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah. Oh my god, it's so good. And it's like, you can tell they learned a lot from RE2 Remake. Where, John Matt's leaning back and forth and being weird. Where, like, in RE2 Remake, like I say, the Mr. X segments were just him chasing you, and it was too much for my poor, anxious heart. And I never got past that. Because it was, honestly, it was way too stressful, and it genuinely freaked me out, and I couldn't deal with it.
We have talked about it a few times, but yeah,
there was no, like, break.
The nature of something that is forever chasing you, if you can deal with that, is a really cool mechanic, and because he's always knocking around somewhere in the area, like, that's cool, but if you, say, hypothetically happen to deal with anxiety as, like, just a base state of your existence.
I've literally, I'm on, like, they just upped my dosage for my anti-anxiety and like, anti-depression tablets? Anti-sad pills. So it's just
your
like...
medication.
Yeah, my medication, which is fine. And it's like, I couldn't deal with that. I could not... I really loved the game, but I just couldn't get past that because it was just too much for me. In RE3, there are set moments where he chases you. That's all I fucking wanted. And it's so much better. Because then you have the quiet in between to build up that tension. So when he bursts through a wall and is all like, stars, and grabs you by the face, it's way scarier. And it's just like, ah! Oh, that's what he does to Matt. He says, stars. In like a scary voice.
The best voice.
Thank you. I made it myself.
Can that just be your voice for a bit?
No, it
because
cannot.
it hurts after just doing it twice.
Yeah, I was gonna say you will blow out your voice in minutes.
It's like it's like when I did that Left 4 Dead 2 voice pack, and I just couldn't speak for a week.
Yeah.
But yeah, and like, so he like pops in at like set moments. He's still kind of like there are set moments where he chases you. Like, oh, from point A to point C, he'll chase you, but once you get there, he's gone. And I'm like, I appreciate this so much because again, that helps for like tension to build, big explosion of horror, and it also gives you quiet and like time to chill out, and it's as much as you can while playing a scary horror game.
I will say, like, watching you play it, it's the first time I've looked at a Resident Evil game, because I'm no fan of Resident Evil. That's no statement about the quality of the games.
I mean, if you don't like it, it's fine.
This is the first time I've seen a Resident Evil game and gone, maybe I'd like to play that sometime.
It is good. The controls are good. It looks beautiful. The scares are very well done. The writing is fantastic. The characters, like, they've really built on them. So Carlos isn't just a kind of insensitive, like, Spanish accent. Because that was basically his character before, was like, young guy who keeps hitting on Jill.
Yeah.
Now he's kind of like, he's got a lot more, like, heart to him. And I know that Carlos in the original was kind of like, he did care about Jill and stuff, but this is way more... It feels way more genuine.
They've built upon it a lot.
He's naive. Tyrell gets some fucking, like, personality there. Like, Nikolai, it's all very, very well done. And, like, the stuff they've built on is brilliant. Like, you've got Kendo in there, the gun shop owner, who you bump into, because, like, Jill knows him, because she's a STARS member. Of course she fucking knows him. And it's just... It's really nice, especially, like, after seeing, like, RE2 Remake, because it's it's RE2 Remake. It's the same kind of thing. Like, RE3 takes place a few hours earlier, so you run into things like, and you like, there's certain parts where it's like you go to the police station and you blow out a chunk in the shower wall. So when you get there in RE2 Remake, there's a hole in the wall, and you go, I did that. And it's like, that's really cool. And like little touches here and there, and like there's like a part where you have to get you want to get into this area, but it's voice locked. So you can keep trying it, and it's like, and you're like, hey, fucking open up, and it's like, voice match, not like no voice match found. And then after a while, your character is like, this is Dr. Fuckface. Can you let me in? And he's like, he tries really hard to like say this. This is Dr. Bard. Could you let me in? And it's just like, no match found, you idiot. And he's like, yeah, I guess that wouldn't work. And I was like, that's such a nice touch. It's really cool. And like, it's just, unlike the end boss fight, oh, big strap energy. It's amazing. Jill Valentine is so fucking awesome. And it's just so
It's got a pretty cool ending.
Fucking honestly, I've not seen anyone like watch that and not sit there going, "Fuck me, is that cool?" And like they've got the thing where they've got the shop. I don't know if they had in the RE2 remake because I couldn't complete it because of anxiety. But in the original Resident Evil 3, and basically the original Resident Evil 1 to 3, you would get to the end of the game, you would get a rank. And certain ranks would, say, unlock costumes or, like, infinite weapons, like the infinite grenade launcher. In this, it's just, just play it, and then you get points for doing certain parts. And then you have, like, an in-game points shop, not microtransactions, where you just go, okay, well, that costs this much, so if I play the game again, I can just, like, I'll just unlock the points and then go and buy it, and then it'll be in my inventory, or in my my little item chest. And it's like, this is so good.
It means that, like, if there's things you really, really want to unlock, then you can just save up for them.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I did was unlock the classic Stars uniform Jill from the first one. That's the first thing I did because, of course, I haven't even worn it because I'm like, this looks stupid. But I needed to unlock it.
You just wanted to hold it.
I just wanted to hold it. But yeah, so yeah, I really can recommend it. It's nice to see that they've paid attention, and I'm kind of surprised they're not doing Code Veronica next.
Yeah, they're doing Resi 4 next.
They're doing Resi 4 next.
I was literally just about to ask you how you feel about that, because as the token person here that
the only person here that likes Resident Evil. I mean, like, I would have preferred Code Veronica because that is actually the first Resident Evil game I ever completed.
Huh. It feels more like a natural thing to remake as well, because that was still like static backgrounds.
Yeah, and it's like it's in the timeline. I think it basically takes place a little bit after 3 anyway, because it's Claire going to looking for Chris again, and like it's after all that shit. So it's like chronologically it would make more sense, and like people like RE4, but not as much as they like Code Veronica.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen a person who doesn't adore
maybe because the people who like Code Veronica are very noisy about it.
Yeah, no, I have. I've seen Resi 4 usually heralded as one of the best games that's ever been made ever.
I mean, Resi 5 is better. You're free to be wrong, but
But it seems like a strange one to me, because like I look at Resi 4 and I go, apart from patching it so that it like fucking works on a modern machine,
I can't play
less
it on
glitchy.
my machine because it just
we've never been able to play it.
Never been able to play it properly. I own it, but I can't play it because it just doesn't fucking run properly.
Yeah,
I have spent days trying to fix it, and it just won't.
Yeah, I've just had so many problems with it, and it feels like that's what it. It feels like just an update to that would be fine, because it's sort of in the mold of a modern game anyway. It's a bit primitive by today's standards, of course.
It is, but I mean, it plays a lot like the way that RE5 does, which is not. It doesn't play very well, but it plays better than the like original Resident Evils, where it was tank controls and everything was jank as fuck. This is a lot easier to slip into compared to the older games.
Yeah.
But it's still like, and I think probably why they are doing RE4 instead of Code Veronica is purely because it gets kind of transphobic.
Code Veronica's that one.
Yeah, Code Veronica's the transphobic one, where it's like,
right, okay.
it's like, it's shitty, and it's like, hey, you know, it kind of implies that trans people are bad, which they're not. And it's like, okay. So, yeah, it's like, I wouldn't know how they would rewrite that to not make that really shitty.
I mean, to be fair, from what I've heard...
But it would be nice if they did.
It's not impossible. Everything I've seen, and I haven't played it yet, I do want to, but I just haven't got around to it. Everything I've heard about the war market in the Final Fantasy VII Remake is that they basically... managed to dodge that really like that bullet, because
I remember seeing in the trailer it was like true beauty and glamour transcends gender, and I'm like, hey, it does. Fuck
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's actually a really good point.
Everything I've seen about the wall market, they basically took everything that was that when you play, because I played Final Fantasy VII, it's my favourite game, and I played it from start to finish again, like last year or something.
And you desperately want to play the new one, but you also don't want to pay full price for it because it's expensive.
I don't like the gameplay very much.
Because you don't like the gameplay. Yeah.
I want to play it, but I don't like the gameplay very much.
Yeah.
But in that they seem to have like just recontextualized everything, swapped things around, moved certain things, and just made it so that it wasn't anywhere near as like bad as it was. Because in 1997 people were not as sensitive about certain things, and we are in a much better time for that now. But it does mean that those things, even though it's a game I really really like, I can admit, it's a bit not great.
Yeah.
But apparently they've just handled it really well, so it's not impossible to like take. Because I half expected them to just remove the wall market entirely from the remake.
Yeah, I thought they would too, because that was pretty fucking dicey. But no, they seem to have just gone, oh yeah, Cloud's in a dress, but that's not funny. It's just him. It's because he's not used to being glamorous or what. I mean, at least from what I've seen, I haven't seen the full thing, so
I've
I
heard
can't
that
fully
it's
be
done
like.
it's done quite well.
But so it's not impossible. It's basically it's the only point I was trying to make is
honestly,
that they could do it. Yeah.
Especially like modern days, I don't think they'd stick with that, which is probably why they've just ignored it, because it's probably going to be way easier to not have to write around some serious fucking insensitivity.
Either that or Capcom just realised that they had already re-released Resident Evil 4 on every system already, so so they're like, oh, we can't release it again, we need to remake it so we can release it on every system again. It's the Skyrim effect sort of thing.
Yeah. But that's all I've been up to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I guess that means that we go to the email questions.
Ah, yes. Email
Draw
questions.
Bring out the email questions.
So if for next time you wish to send in an email to us, what email address should that be sent to, Snipe?
Fuck you. Only drummermat at snipeandwib@gmail.com.
Good.
Yes.
So,
Good.
and people, did people send in questions specifically for this, the live episode?
No.
Yeah, a few people said good luck.
Oh, okay, well, we needed it, thanks.
Okay, so we have a few questions. I printed them off because I wasn't quite sure that if I alt-tabbed out to the thing, we'd lose my video, so I have actual paper prop.
Yep, cool.
Paper plop.
Paper prop. You picked the best person to read things because I can't read, apparently.
Either that, you're currently going through some kind of stroke.
Yep, no, everything is fine.
Everything is fine.
So, first up, Wiley. My homebrew. See, we can't even edit out my cock up. Damn it.
Nope.
People will know how long it takes for me to read each one now. My homebrew chapter, The Sacred Dawn, which, as an aside, the name is being workshopped, so any recommendations are welcome.
It's a good name.
A chapter heavily inspired by North African and ancient Egyptian culture, tradition, and general theming. They find that the majority of the 41st millennium seems to be full of a surprising amount of white dudes.
Yep.
So thought they'd try and, build off that a bit.
Yeah, cool.
So, any recommendations on painting those sort of skin tones in a more accurate, realistic way, as well as any conversion parts or heads that might be a bit closer to what they're after, rather than just, generic white dude head?
Yeah, I'm not sure for... If you were asking for female marine heads, then I can tell you because I've got some from Statuesque Miniatures, but I'm not actually sure for male heads. For just regular Space Marine heads. I'm not sure where the best place to look for them is, really. As regards skin tone, it's I found because I've been trying to diversify the skin tone in my marine chapter just because it's more interesting, if nothing else.
I mean,
for the most just.
And it also makes a very particular kind of person angry for some fucking reason.
I did get someone who wrote a comment and then deleted it. So
good.
So because
shame.
Because YouTube is broken, it showed me the comment even when it was deleted, and then I can just never find where it is anymore because it had been deleted. But it still occasionally tells me, oh, by the way, someone said this racist thing. Well, no, but they were basically going, oh, you hate your race. It's like, what? Because I decided to paint some miniatures in a skin color other than my own.
Do you realize that if anyone who isn't white exists, then we just get murdered?
It's weird.
Instantly. Wait, fucking what?
It's so bizarre.
Anyway, moving on.
But I found it's really just a case of experiment. I found that oh shit, what's it? I'm terrible at remembering the current paint line.
Oh, I don't fucking know.
But there's some really nice like skin tones knocking around, and don't be afraid to experiment with different ones, because at the end of the day, human skin tone comes in so many different shades and varieties.
I will say as well, coming at it from a makeup point of view, golds are very good for a darker skin tone, or yellow kind of thing for highlighting. So if you're highlighting on dark skin, you use gold instead of silver because it's a warm color and it fits well with the skin tone.
I'm not sure how well that will work at miniature scale.
No, I'm just saying more kind of rich yellow tones, whereas silver or that a grey or something, or a pale. If you put if you take a bit of brown paint and then put some white in it, it will probably look a little bit washed out. So you might want to put some orange in there to warm up the complexion. Is what I'm saying. Mix with reds, oranges, bit of yellow, just to give it a bit more depth. Because if you lighten the paint like you would with a light complexion, it'll look washed out.
Yeah, when I've been trying to do it, it's a whole new skill set. Because you're just not used to. Yeah. If you're not used to doing it, then. But yeah, I'm sorry, not really that much advice, but just good luck to the person, because it's something which I've had to slowly learn to do myself. Okay. And if I could remember paint names, I could probably be more helpful.
Ain't that always the way?
Nah, it's fine. Next up, Rohan. My question is about 40k video games, and specifically about the concept of a Space Marine sequel. So if it were to get a sequel, what would you guys want to see in it?
I would like to see Space Marine wee-wees.
Okay.
No.
Good.
Honestly, I think I would like to see... It'd just be nice to play as, Titus trying desperately to avoid the Inquisition, because he, gets told off for apparently doing a heresy. And basically him just out of his armor in, a cloak, standing, 2 feet taller than anyone else, trying to pretend that he's not a Space Marine. And he's just like, "Oh, I am here to purchase some of your bread." And they're like...
If I remember rightly, there's a bit of that in one of the. There's a bit of that in the novel Legion of Marines trying to be a bit undercover.
What ho! The Emperor is great. May I buy a fish? It's yeah, that'll be 2 crowns. It's yes, money. I know what that is. Let me look for it in my human pouches. It would be so fucking funny.
There has been, because there was talk from, I think it was the director of the game, talking about where the series was originally planned to go, because it was originally planned to be a trilogy, I think.
Quadrilogy.
And it was going to be him sort of dealing with the Inquisition and eventually setting up his own Space Marine chapter, which canonically is a bit hazy, but who gives a shit?
I mean, who cares? It's a video game, yeah.
If you basically, I'm okay with lore being shattered if you're telling a good story.
Yeah. Honestly, that would be cool.
And it that sort of thing could have been interesting. I personally would have preferred if we'd have got what I think I would have liked it if it had made it into more of an anthology series.
What so you play as someone else in the perspective of the events?
No. Where it is different stories but using the same mechanics. So,
okay, that would have been cool.
So the one we mentioned it years and years ago of to have a game using Space Marines mechanics, but a Space Wolf, and you start off doing the trials, the Aspirants Challenge.
Okay.
I would love that. That would be really, really, really cool. I've spoke many times about how I'm I want a Space Wolf game. It's basically Space Marine, but it's in the snow and it starts off with the Immigrant Song.
That's ideal. Basically,
yeah.
Basically, that's what Warhammer 40,000 through the lens of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
There's no part about that I say that as a joke, but 100% I want that.
I just want Taika Waititi to fucking direct a Space Marine game.
But no, I think that I personally think that would be an interesting way to go. Because I mean, as cool as it would be to see more of that particular story, and obviously the way Space Marine ends is a bit sort of like
it's open ended and a bit of a sad ending.
But I think it would have been that would be a fun way to do it, because then you can see the different types of Space Marines, and it gives you ways to explore different things. Like, I mean, hell, you could even do something like show from the perspective of something like a Flesh Terror, or even go as far as like Marines Malevolent, and sort of have a Marine sort of doing it as the wow, we're doing some fucked up shit, and maybe have the tension come from that of them being like, wow, this maybe we need to pull back a bit from here,
I have an idea. So I like the idea of like the whole Titus forming his own kind of chapter or whatever, even if it's a bit lore weird. But it would be cool if like he basically goes down kind of like the Legion of the Damned kind of thing, where he's still loyal, but he isn't accepted by the Imperium. So like he basically like and maybe there's like a certain thing of like him trying not to go too chaosy, because the Chaos Gods are waiting for him.
A better comparison would be like, I think it's the Soul Drinkers.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Because they were a bit more like that, rather than Legion of Damned.
Yeah. So like basically him and like basically a bunch of other like ragtag crew just trying to like. Basically, they're fighting for the right reasons, well, as right as the Imperium man can be.
They're fighting for humanity.
They're fighting for humanity. And, like, it's just about dodging the Inquisition, and, like, it'd be really cool if he had, like a mechanic, or, like, you could put a squat in there, and the squat's, like, like some of your implants are malfunctioning or fucking whatever, or maybe he's got like a robotic leg we didn't see, and it's just that kind of thing where you still get like a lot of the action, but it's a lot more narrative, and it's a lot more kind of
I mean, I honestly just the idea of doing something that's...
And then kind of like you could see him kind of like, maybe you could branch it off like Dawn of War 3 did, where it's like, if you do certain things, that puts you in the danger zone to be corrupted by the forces of chaos. Or if you go a certain way, then you can just keep going on your way, and the Emperor's like, hey, I like you, so I'm just gonna make you have a big bum or something.
Honestly, I do really like the idea of having a whole thing of a faction that is a human faction, but is not on the side of the Imperium.
It's just like a neutral kind of
like
faction.
actually partially. I think it's partially because one of my many armies that I'd love to make one day is a Space Marine chapter that is not chaos but not loyal to the Imperium.
Yeah.
Like, I've always kind of wanted to do that of the wow, the Imperium's kind of fascist, and like, but humans still need to be. We still need to protect them half the time from the Imperium, to be fair.
Yeah. But no, I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, it's never going to happen.
But that will probably never happen in a video game, because that's something that's that's touched upon in some novels and things, but not like they don't touch upon it super hard in main canon. So that's probably never going to happen, because
but well, that's there we go.
Do you have any thoughts, Matthew?
I like anything with Taika Waititi, so I'm going to circling back to this Space Wolf game.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, we'll do
that.
that.
I do like that though. Like, rather than carrying on with the same character, we'll just be with the same mechanics and the same engine or whatever, but tell a different story with a different main character and things.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I think that would be really cool.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Next up, Aurora. The Codex Compliant video on weird stuff from Rogue Trader has inspired me to make a Little Sisters of Purification army, but I've hit a snag. I can't decide what legion they're succeeding.
Oh.
My current thought is that they should be Dark Angel successors, but the line is the worst loyalist Primarch. I'd be very grateful if you guys could weigh in on the issue.
Well, I mean, you spelled Ross wrong.
I mean, we don't actually have... So, if you're not familiar, Little Sisters of Purification were a chapter that was made up by Game Designers Workshop for their magazine Challenge. It wasn't licensed. We inaccurately in the video stated it was a British company. I don't know where we got that from. It's actually an American company that made it. Consider this our official correction. But you don't actually get that much on their lore beyond them all being female. So you can sort of go with whatever you want. All we know is that they have top knots. I mean,
They have very silly hair.
so I mean, I guess maybe you could maybe go like White Scars because they're a bit more in the top notch if you want to go for a
That'd be
loyalist
cool.
chapter.
Yeah, no, that'd be really cool.
Like obviously this is like really vague because we're given so little to work on. There's obviously the whole Sisters of Purification. You could go for one of the more knightly ones. So yeah, like Dark Angels does work, and especially their color scheme would fit really easily. But I think because there is so little, you could justify whatever you wanted to do. Even the fact that that ones we see are all beakies because it was just that era. And they're black. You could justify them being a Raven Guard spin-off for that reason. Like, I think that's the thing. You just have to kind of pick what you want to something you want to harp on, because you can make them however you want. You can do whatever you want with them, because they are up for interpretation because we were given so little on them. So, I think that is good as a response. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
Sure. Good answer. All right, James. My question: as a fellow lover of Space Crusade, both the board game and the video game, I'd like to know what your favourite mission is and whether you ever tried playing through a full campaign.
No. No, we never did. We've just played random ones when we played it because we, until recently, didn't actually own a copy. So we had to go to a board game cafe, and quite often we'd be going with like different people to say, "Hey, Space Crusade's really good, yo." So we'd just play like the basic mission. Now, Matt here did get us a copy of it that you found in a charity shop, wasn't it?
No, it was in a game shop.
Oh,
like a
okay, shit.
A hobby shop thing that sold board games and also 40k and Warhammer stuff and things.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, so you gave us a copy. It was missing a lot of like the actual models.
Yeah,
but,
it was sold relatively cheap because, well, no, not relatively. It was sold cheap because it was missing quite a lot of stuff, and they weren't quite. It did have some bits in it, and they were like, I got it down to the till, and they said, I can't remember what I paid for it. It was like 20 quid or something, which isn't much
nothing
compared to what the full ones go for. And he was looking through it. He was like, he looked it out and looked at the price of the box and was like, this is a good price for this. He's like, hang on.
You should have slammed the money down and fucking legged it.
Yeah. But he's like, for that much, you can't have, because it had the Dreadnought in it, he's like, you can't have this and you can't have this, and started like taking bits out of it. It was like, if you want that, it's going to cost more. I was like, okay, well, how much can I still get for the same price? And it ends up still being quite a good deal, and you have a lot of the models from other sources anyway. So I think it came with most of the tokens and board and
it
things.
basically came with everything we needed beyond a lot of the models, but we either have them anyway, or we have modern equivalents of them. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And someone is very, very kindly sending us the Space Crusade Dreadnought at the moment anyway, so we'll actually have the Dreadnought, which was like the one part that we didn't have, that we didn't have a good proxy for. So but yeah, so we've not played that many, and I don't remember the names of them, in all honesty. I just genuinely really like just how Space Crusade plays. It's just a nice, simple little game. Crazy unbalanced if you're not playing with a full amount of players, but it's But yeah, it's a cool little game. Yeah, can't really give much more. Do you remember the names of any of the actual missions?
No.
No.
I can't remember my own fucking name.
Good.
I liked the ones where you punch the Dreadnought and then its arms fall off. That's good.
This is violence.
Okie dokie. Next up, Harry.
Hello.
I almost read that as Henry and got excited about Hoovers, but Harry.
Ooh.
I've been doing some research on the Rainbow Warriors and find out that on some of the galaxy maps that shows the chapter homeworlds and their respective chapters, the Rainbow Warriors homeworld is there, but where it should say the chapter's name, it says record deleted. Do any of you know what happened to the Rainbow Warriors? And if not, what do you think happened to them?
Yep. But it's a secret and I'm not telling you.
Okay.
Okay, good.
As far as I'm aware, they are in that kind of hazy realm of Rogue Trader canon that's sort of canon but sort of not. We've basically had hardly anything on them official. There is another chapter called Death Strike, I believe, who have an identical symbol. It's just, I think it's white, right? It's yellow rather than being white, but it's the same symbol.
Sounds a bit shit.
But there's something that we haven't really had a lot of information on. A lot of people have taken tiny elements that they have found in canon and sort of decided that they are like South American in sort of like theme, like sort of Aztec Mayan sort of vibe going from. So they use like parts from the Seraphim sets. Okay. So they have that kind of vibe going. That's entirely like community thing, like that's not backed up by canon. But yeah, they're just one of those ones that they just haven't really done anything with since then. Sort of like I'm trying to think of another good example of like one from that era, because like a lot of the ones from that era have since had stuff done to them by Forge World, like Mantis Warriors or Karshardans, things like that. But yeah, just that hasn't really happened with the Rainbow Warriors. Possibly because they don't want to talk about the fact that it's based off a boat that sank, probably. Mm-hmm. Which was possibly sank by a government. It was a Greenpeace boat. So it's actually it's one of the most hard...
It's spicy!
One of the most hard P political things they've named something after. So, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Okie dokie. Octavian, why do you guys hate Battenberg so much? I quite like it, and I've even gone so far as to dabble in the dark arts of making my own. I can only hope that I'm not...
heretic in our presence.
I can only hope that I'm not hunted and burnt at the stake for this, and I'm now barricading my house as a precaution. There is no question.
Okay.
No, there is a question. No, it's why do you hate Battenberg so much?
If you
Battenberg is shit for so many reasons, but let me just list a few. It's shit, it's dog shit garbage, everyone hates it, it has no friends, it's fucking stupid.
It has no future.
It has no future.
It has no past.
It has no past. It is just a fucky piece of butt. Marzipan is like, it's literally French blue tack that they tricked us into eating.
Okay, I want to see you working
Can
here.
confirm.
Dromat's lived in the French for like 3-4 years. The French trench.
If people like Battenberg, that is fine.
No, it's not.
No,
it is not. No. Battenberg is the worst, and it needs to be scrubbed from humanity if we are ever to be good people. And it's literally sugary French blue tack over shitty sponge, and it's terrible.
Right.
All right, I'm going to move on.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. I don't think I'm going to be able to get out a nuanced Battenberg take here.
Well, no, because there's no take apart from it is fucking garbage.
Orion Falcus. I've taken this enforced social distancing as an opportunity to finally try Dungeons & Dragons, which I can definitely recommend.
Yeah,
people who are not
I know quite a few people have, because it's, you know.
Yep.
I'll be playing a Goliath Berserker in an online game run by a friend. Although I've spent many years immersed in the Warhammer worlds, this will be my first experience of a pen and paper RPG in an unfamiliar setting. Do you have any tips and or tricks from your extensive adventures?
What, for role-playing or playing the game? Hitting things?
Just general tips or tricks?
I will say that I'm not saying that anyone would do this, but I remember when I first got into role-playing, I did this where my characters were all knowing and super good at picking stuff up and being really clever. That's really boring. And also don't worry about min-maxing your character, because if they have a weakness, say like, oh, their like intelligence is 5, make that a part of your character. Like the best stories come from shit like that.
Yeah, I like that advice. It's really hard when you make your first few characters to not make them really good. And
to not really try and make them the best, coolest dude.
Yeah.
And like honestly, there are like online flaw generators, FLAW, where you can generate like 3 random character flaws.
Laminate, carpet.
Yeah. Linoleum. That's basically Nathan's personality. He's just horny linoleum, and that's it. He's like, step on me! Rub me with a broom.
I feel like it might be getting a bit off track here.
No, I'm not. But yeah, like, characters who have flaws, that's what makes them interesting. And also, like, you know, like, you won't 100% get your characters character down in the first few sessions. Like, you'll notice your character develops. You'll notice your character will be like, oh yeah, for some reason they just don't like this, or yeah, they hate it when someone calls them this, or something like that. Like, that kind of thing will start developing through gameplay, and it's really fun. And just go with it.
What I will say as a more mechanical recommendation...
Hit everything.
...is if you're playing it online... Now, this obviously depends on your group. I personally vastly prefer when everyone, like... And this only really applies if you're in a group of people you know and that you can trust. But
I honestly don't... I wouldn't want to play a role-play game without not knowing everyone.
Well, yeah, but lots of people do. So, you know. But if you do trust the group you're in, then roll your dice physically, because... I don't know why, but that feels so much more like visceral and better than
it feels more
just
involved.
using a generator that rolls. Like, I do understand if you're in a group of people you don't know and you're not 100% sure if you're with any people that might fudge it, then fair enough, use it because it's like open and clear. But yeah. I personally prefer to roll them physically.
Also, it means that you can collect a vast amount of dice. I am the dice goblin of the group. We all have little bits of it, but I have the most because I have no impulse control. I do when he's sitting here, but he can't watch me all the time.
Sometimes I have to sleep, and that's when dice get ordered.
That's when the dice get purchased. Fuck rent, I'm getting these. But yeah, that's like, I guess that's the best kind of advice. Like, also,
just have fun. Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah, don't take it too seriously. Have fun. Also, try and figure out what your other players want. Because if like everyone else is super into like role play and you don't want to do that, then you've got to kind of you've got to meet each other halfway. And also, if a person's doing something you don't like, take them to the side and just be like, hey, that's not okay, or this makes me a bit uncomfortable. And just communication is key. Yeah,
100%. Just so everyone gets what they want out of it, because it's collaborative storytelling.
Yeah, and it's multiplayer. Author.
It's a multiplayer book.
It's a multiplayer book. Yeah.
Multiplayer choose your own adventure.
Yeah, and
apart from the choices are infinite, basically.
Yeah. If
you see, I know, like, we have both DM'd, and I know that I am the problem player in our group when you DM. Because Nathan is a coward and never wants to do anything that you want him to. Because he's a shit. So, yeah. Also, if the DM fucking raps you on the nose with a rolled up newspaper, take the hint. Don't be like me.
Ryan also said, you may be also interested to know that the Grot Cutter model is based on a real sport known as land sailing.
Yeah.
Which is, exactly. Which
I'm pretty sure I've seen a bunch of them, because I used to go on holiday to the Isle of Wight, and
there's nothing else to do there.
There's nothing else to do there, so I'm pretty sure people used to do that there.
Didn't you just watch chunks of the island fall into the sea?
Yeah, I don't know if I've told this on the podcast before, but there is there was, I don't know if it's still there, a theme park on the Isle of Wight, which, for people that don't live in the UK, it is a tiny, tiny island that has been trapped in the 1950s, basically since then. I presume they aged up to that point.
I don't know, I feel like in the 50s it was probably the 20s.
Yeah, possibly.
Is it not always been?
But it's a tiny little island off the south coast. It's like just a bit off like Portsmouth.
You get rock from there. Not like ground, like sedimentary rock, but like the English have these pain tubes that taste like peppermint, or like you've just licked the arsehole of someone who's had licorice shits, and they call it rock.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'll bring you some rock. And
It's
you're like, why do you hate my teeth, Brenda?
Sort of like candy canes, I think.
It's like candy canes, but it sucks.
Weirder, and they have writing in them for some reason.
Yeah, they have writing in them?
Yeah. But anyway, you can buy that from most seaside places in the UK. Yeah. But it's this little island, and I used to go there quite a bit. And because it's a place that suffers quite badly from like erosion on the coastline, there was a theme park called Black Gang Chine. Possibly racist. Have not looked into the etymology of it.
Even if it's not, it sounds super fucking racist.
I know nothing about where the name comes from, so maybe it's fine. But I'm just saying it out loud now. I'm like, oh yeah, actually that's probably bad. But anyway, And it was just it was a little theme park, nothing grand. But the last time I went, which was many years ago now, like half of the theme park had just fallen into the ocean. Like you look down off a ridge and look down into like this like play area which had like dinosaurs in it, and like half of them were just hanging half off, like just into falling into the ocean because they can't go and get them because the whole place is falling apart.
I don't like this
I've heard it's actually not so bad now. Like it's nowhere near as much of it has fallen away. But yeah, it was a whole thing. But yes, I'm pretty sure I saw people doing that like land sailing thing on the beaches on the Isle of
So
Wight.
basically, the moral of the story is keep your dinosaurs close. You never know when they're going to fall into the ocean.
Yes, that is definitely the thing. Yeah,
I don't like it. They're pretending, right? It's all
they're pretending.
Yeah, the dinosaurs are fine. Dinosaurs are fine. Okay.
Because those things will be made out of real dinosaurs, though.
Yep. All right, next up, Kai. First off, they just quickly, and we'll breeze past this one, is because they will say, Wib, can you please showcase your Grot Rebellion? I don't care if they're not painted.
If you're watching on the video version, behind me you can just see the outline of my Dakajet.
And also, if you move this side, you'll see Lord George, who's way more important.
Who is a large cuddly toy.
He's a large chicken.
I am going to be, at some point in the near future, making a video just showing them off. Because just some extra content for the channel in the time of everything being bad. But I've currently got my painting log to make and the new Codex Compliant, which is going to be the longest one we've ever done, is currently in the editing process, and
my god, you are stressing the fuck out. So everyone be nice to Wib. He's very hardworking and lovely.
So that's unfortunately not going to be coming out this month because it's just physically not the time to finish it. Because that combined with the general malaise of being a human who exists in the world right now is not a good mixture, but I've managed to break out of that and doing the hard editing bits now, so
good.
Yeah, but they will be shown off. Yes.
Their question is, what were your biggest conversions and how did you do them?
It depends how you want to quantify it. In terms of like,
I made a war boss out of like sprue, an orc head, and like plaster card. That was astounding.
I have made quite a few models that are made from just bits. A like cyborg war boss and big mech with shock attack gun were made from just a few spare parts and sprue, plaster card, just whatever I had lying around. Probably one of the more elaborate jobs I've done recently is that I've recently put together a squad of looters. That because I'm making it for a Grot Rebellion force, I don't want to use actual orcs, so I made them all being little mounted guns, like these randomly assembled guns on little chassis of like little tracked chassis. So they're all remote controlled, and then I have a spanner in there who's like a cyborg Grot, who's got like a little control panel in front of him and little levers, and he's the one remote controlling all of these, and just to make that, and those are made out of just whatever guns I had like to hand sort of cobbled together on like first edition epic Land Raider bodies, just sort of with bits stripped off. That's one of the most elaborate that I've done recently, although if it's just because of like the scale of it, because that was like a full squad of like 9 miniatures. So it's one of the big ones. Although I did also make a runt bot, which counts as a big mech that was made from a paint pot and spare parts. So that's a pretty big build. In terms of that.
It's still Games Workshop stuff.
It is. But yeah, I've made a lot of stuff. Like I don't think I've really done one enormous build before. I've made buggies and things. But I've never like sat down and decided, I'm going to make a Stomper from scratch. Actually, I know the actual physically biggest was when I made a Dreadnought, a Death Dread, out of a Defiler.
That was really cool.
That I used for exactly one game. I'm actually tempted to repurpose that for my Grot Rebellion, actually.
You totally should.
Because it just didn't fit with my army. So, but yeah.
Okie dokie. Oh, I'm so used to waiting for the cars to go past.
If we just sit here like, then you know why.
Also Matt, who I don't think was called Also Matt, but I think they signed off Also Matt because there's too many Matts.
Yeah.
Why is everyone called Matt?
I mean,
my name's Matt. Like, what?
Snipe has mentioned working on commissions several times,
Yes.
and I assume they're drawings. But I would be interested in any advice you can give on how to go about becoming a commissioned miniature painter.
That's
don't
a
know.
really good question, and it's got a good answer as well. Honestly, from like Unity Paint stuff, he does a lot of commission paintings. He'd be better at answering this than me, but basically play the Instagram game, and just put yourself out there, I guess.
Yeah, realistically, you just gotta.
I mean, I'm cheating a bit with my commission work because I've already made a name for myself. I'm infamous already, so.
I think it is one of those things where you just start off, hone your craft, and figure out how to do it in a way that you would be comfortable doing it, treating it as a job.
I would say also look at other commission mini painters, like price lists. Just see the kind of output they do, and kind of like you've got to be kind of hard with yourself and be like, okay, realistically, what can my output be? Because it is really easy to, in the beginning, just accept everything and get super burnt out and super stressed and you don't want to leave customers hanging.
And there are definitely, it depends a lot on the level you want to do, because there are people that do commission painting and they put out like golden demon level stuff, and that costs a lot and takes a lot of time. But there's also people...
don't pay attention to eBay when they say professionally painted.
But also there's people who just do simple tabletop ready commission painting.
Yeah.
So find the strata that you wish to do, and then look into the people that do that and see how they do it, because it's like all art, there's a lot to it, and all we can do is give a vague outline because none of us do it.
Yeah, but no, like good luck to you and good on you for putting yourself out there. That's really impressive.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Mikhail, my question will be the following: have you ever made a fluffy army?
Well, one time I accidentally flocked the entire miniature. So
I think a question that's related to this is, what's your favourite fluffy army? Aside from, I guess, the ones that you already have.
My favourites are like the old school, like corn ones where you would get bonuses for putting them in squads of 7. I love that stuff, and it's just not really a thing anymore. But honestly, I want a Cornate army so bad. But the Corn Berserkers just are shit.
I mean, we've got the Cornate Sisters we're slowly working on.
Yeah, but I want Cornate Marines as well. But I don't want the Corn Berserkers now because they're shit.
and the Forge ones are really expensive.
Oh, one day. I love that old kind of stuff. But otherwise, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on whether they mean fluffy as in adheres to established canon, or whether
fluffy
they mean
as in they're all wearing feather boas,
which
would be rad as shit.
As in you've created something and you have a lot of backstory for them. Like my Rebel Grots, I do have like an idea of like story behind them. I have like canon behind my Space Marine chapter.
I have canon behind my Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, because in. Well,
no, I don't.
They're Space Wolves. And
they're Space Wolves, and they're my baby ducklings. And I love them. And then if they fall down a drain, I would attack policemen. Anytime they tried to come near my babies, I would just be fighting the police in the street, being like, nah!
I will tell you what, like, when it comes to 40k, I don't know why, I'm like a real big fan of just doing whatever, but if you were making a Horus Heresy army, if I was to make one of those, that's when I'd get super anal about it. Like, everything would have the exact right like iconography on it. Everything would be in the the right squads. I'd try and like theme everything around how that army actually is supposed to fight.
And then
canon.
you'd put them in your bum.
I don't know if I would, unless it was a Death Guard army.
But you're getting really anal about it.
Yeah, and it's okay. I get the joke.
Because the bum.
I get it. It's okay. But that's that. Yeah, I would probably go for that if I was going to like that's where I would be more that. But yeah, in reality, I've never really done one where I've like really rigidly stuck to Karen.
No, but I think there was something in the question which I've apparently not copied down to my like cheat sheet. But there was something about, in terms of like, I think all of us, and especially you two, choose your army layout based on the models you like and how they go together fluff-wise, rather than what is like most optimum.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, what we do is we pick our models first, then we try and justify why.
We try and figure out how to make them work.
Yeah, exactly,
there are exceptions,
exactly.
like, you know, I'm not... Like, there are some things where you look at them and you go, well, that's just a worse version. Or in the case of, like my Grots being a good example of, like, well, I'd like mech guns, but they cost £30 for one of them, so I'm not having mech guns.
Yeah, fair. Okie dokie. Next up is... Callian or Kalian, and they specifically said at the end of the email how to pronounce it, and I haven't included that bit on my sheet, so go me.
Good work.
Apologies. I think I was just like, oh yeah, that's just how I would pronounce it anyway, so I didn't, and now I've forgotten. Apologies.
You are a dumpster fire of it. I thought I was bad.
First off, how have you been as of recent? I do hope you're managing to keep the sanity like I am.
Aww. I've been having
you.
a bit of a rough one, but I've been pouring my my miserable energy into forcing myself to exercise. So you know what? There is some positivity coming out of it. So thank you very much for asking.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar kind of thing. It's like it didn't really... The whole... If for people listening to this in the future, we're under lockdown and quarantine.
Yeah, we're under quarantine right now. I got some face masks the other day because it's really like... if I'm going to the shops, I want them.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because I've got like a pack of 4 and they're washable and reusable and they've got carbon in them. I've got like a sheet of carbon. So it's like, oh, that's really cool.
But yeah.
I'm very pleased with my purchase.
It didn't really affect me too much, but like over time, it's been like really getting to me about just not being able to like just be able to like, oh, I've got a lot of work to do. Okay. I can put that down for like a few hours and I can just go out and go to town,
have lunch,
go get lunch, go even just like you.
I mean, I haven't had a latte in at least 2 months.
Like just not being able to like go out. It has been hard and like it has been taking a toll. But,
I went out for a walk today for like an hour. I just went out for an hour's walk today, and like it was really sad because it was really empty. And I was just like, usually what I do is I'll go up, I'll pack myself a nice tasty lunch and I'll walk uptown. And I'll go and have lunch in town. And it's just like, the whole time I was walking around, it was like, I have nowhere to be. And I was just like, well, I guess I'll explore this part of the city I've not been to. You know, on the outskirts, of course. I'm not going to the main city because quarantine. But yeah, and like, there's still the occasional person who, when I cross the road to get away from, will look really offended. Or this like you'll walk like through an alleyway, and then like I had this the other day when I went to Sainsbury's, and there was a woman who literally was like started to walk down, older lady, and then backed up and stood there like kind of like leaning in, just like smiling at me during like the kind of like
you might have to describe that
smile, you know, like the passing gas smile that white people do. You know, yeah, and I was like shit because I just entered the fucking alley, and I had like 30 kilos of shopping on me, and I'm like, so I'm like tearing ass down this like fucking like 50 yards. And she's just like leaning in, being like, and I was like, thank you. And then she just went in, and it was just like, oh. But then, then there's the other people who look really angry at you when you like get like 6 feet away. Yeah. And it's like, look, I'm not doing this for me. I could be a carrier, and I could kill your grandma, and I don't want to do that. Yeah. Okay, that's why I'm wearing masks. That's why I'm doing all this.
It's not about our health.
It's about you and your fucking mum's health, mate. Don't fucking side eye me.
But it's it's been difficult. But you know, you got to make the best of it. And try to keep yourself busy, and that's what we've been trying to do.
Don't wank too much; you might create calluses.
Yeah,
if you're into that kind of thing. Anyway.
If you're going to do copious amounts of masturbation during the
Which
lockdown,
I was
probably
informed,
get some lube. That's probably a good idea.
Last podcast, I was informed apparently people who work at home can't work because they're just whacking off all day.
I think it's one of those things of people that have worked at a location for a long time and then suddenly go to working
honestly,
from home.
if I go into the office and someone's just jacking it at the desk, I'm gonna be like, bro, could you fucking not?
I was gonna say, he's suggesting that people don't do that when they go to work.
Like on the bus, I don't know. I have been on a few Arriva buses, and let me tell you, some weird shit goes down there. I literally caught because I have this thing where I count cameras where I'm in a place.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know why. Maybe it's the ex-cat burglar in me. Where like
you and your lies.
Well, everything is true, especially the lies. So I'm sat on the bus and I'm like, there are 12 cameras in here on the first fucking floor. On the double deck, I haven't been up to the top because I don't ever want to be on the top because all the stinky pee smell goes to the top.
Oh, but the top of the double-decker bus at the front is the best seat.
Yeah,
you can
it's the
pretend
best
you're
seat.
driving the bus from being really tall.
Yeah. Front seat on a double decker.
No,
at the front, on the top is the best seat.
No.
Best
what
bus
you
seat.
want on any bus is like 3 from the back, like just nearly over, like the one in front of the back wheel on the left.
No.
Just so you're the first one that's high up, so you can look down upon everyone else.
No,
And
sorry.
then there's the creepy
That's
teenagers
okay,
behind
but
you.
That's okay, but top of the bus at the front is that bit better.
This seat is still so much better.
No, I'm sorry.
Because then you have like the music stand where you can put shit as well.
I'm sorry. I will accept, this is just your opinion, and that everyone is entitled to their opinion, but your opinion is just wrong here.
No. And then if somebody chucks a fucking smoke grenade in, you can get out quicker.
Okay, this might be pointing to the fact that you have been on buses with some truly terrifying individuals.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But like, I think my point still stands.
Well, okay.
Oh my god. On the back from coming back from boxing, there's like always this creepy old guy on my bus. Like if I catch that particular bus. And he's like 80 years old. And he's got a bald spot, which is like fine. But he's like he grows out like his mullet at the back really long, and then he kind of like gels it up over his bald spot and then curls it back. So it's like a weird Elvis quiff, but you can tell he's got like no hair on the top of his head. And then he just has these huge sideburns. And he sits there in like a leather jacket and like flared dress pants. And he's just like tapping and nodding to music. And he's not even listening to music. And anytime I go on there, like...
He sounds like a very interesting person that you should definitely try and be friends with.
I don't want to be friends with him because like he didn't start doing the music thing until I get on the bus, and then he just stares me down and starts like tapping and like pretending he's listening to Elvis or fucking whatever, and I'm just like, okay, it's just weird. And he stinks of like barley. What's that, like a herbal kind of smell, but not in a weed way?
I'm going to be honest. I think you've just found a very specific...
He's a bus cryptid.
Yeah, I was about to say he's a cryptid.
He's like maybe he's a nice guy, but like he's just
probably.
he's just kind of staring at me on the bus. It's creepy. Don't like it. And then there's really cool like programmer guy on the bus. He's awesome. He has a tick where he does like jazz hands. Like while he's like, because he's like swapping back between programming and like writing a D&D campaign and talking on Skype with somebody, and then he'll stop sporadically, and his fingers
all
will
I
just
do when
like
I'm on
do
the
that.
bus is stare out the goddamn window.
I do that too, but then someone will sit next to me and eat wasabi peas, and I just want to punch him in the fucking molars.
That's
you know what
fair.
I mean?
That's fair.
I'm just like, do you mind, Deborah? Fuck out of here! So
Would
Elvis
you,
man
would
can
you
look at
mind?
me.
Would you mind terribly if we moved on from the bus discourse? Though?
Yeah.
Maybe, although I do
think so.
believe that's why people are here. See, this is what I usually have to cut out.
Yeah. It's been long enough that I have to say the name again. Kalian. Secondly, sorry. I know in the old Wibb's Orcs video, Wibb made an offhand joke that he's an adult and names his toys. And that Snipe obviously has her darling Dreadnought Luca. But collectively, what do we name? Do we name and give backstories to our favourite models in our army? And if so, would it be okay to hear some of them?
Yes. Not generally names, though. I'm bad with names, so I don't tend to name them.
Name them, but not with names.
No, I do have.
This is.
Well, I mean, I have I have names for like the forces and things, but I'm generally pretty bad at coming up with names for individual characters.
Okay, no one
with a
cares
few
about
exceptions.
the names. We get it. Now come up with a backstory.
Show
us your backstory. You
Okay,
shitty
some
boy.
quick rundowns of some of the stuff. My Eldar that you may have seen in a couple of videos are basically an Exodite force, and rather than have a traditional fighting force as you would expect, they just have an overwhelming amount of wraith constructs that basically stand around as if they are statues 99% of the time, but at the moment of anything bad happens, they step down from the things, and there is just something to do with the planet's thing that means that Wraithbone comes out just looking like stone. So,
Wraith Stone.
So it's kind of Wraith Stone, yeah. And that's sort of the general idea behind my why it's all like Wraith Guard and Wraith Lords and Wraith Knight, like with just a couple of regular looking Eldar sort of backing it up as Psykers, because there's not many of them, so they want to keep their population kind of safe. So having already dead people for the most part dealing with it seems to be a way of doing that. My Grot Rebellion's kind of similar story to your regular Grot Rebellion, except it's on a different planet that's snowy, which is why they're snowy, and it also means I can reword them a little bit to have the parts that that don't work so great. And my Space Marines, the Argent Wardens, who are a Blood Angels Successor chapter, who are a fleet-based chapter, specializes in dealing with things away from Imperial supply lines, and they have a lot of weird old shit that they've happened to find from old Heresy era, like weapon stashes that they just happen to find in an area, and they've repurposed a lot of it, which is my explanation as to why they have a lot of Rogue Trader bullshit in them, and why I run a couple of Rogue Trader Dreadnoughts that I've started referring to as just a type of battle automata, but if the Mechanicus asks, they're totally Dreadnoughts, shut up. But yes, stop doing things for chat.
I'm not. I thought I was going to sneeze, so I crook of the elbow. That's what you got to do. Ah.
Stop dancing. Stop dancing for them.
Sorry. Luca, everyone knows the story behind Luca. He was just super lucky, and now in every subsequent game, he's really fucking not. He's like the first
Never
thing.
has a truer thing been said.
Right?
I mean, especially by you.
I mean, shade. That is some serious fucking shade. Okay. I see how it is. But yeah, like the other ones I kind of like have little like half-formed bits of story in my head, but like when I finally get an Invictus pattern Dreadnought Walker leggy
Invictor pattern warsuit is, I believe, the proper term.
That's the pepper. They're going to be a lady, and they are going to basically be the herd of my the apothecary. So she's going to have like a wolf skull mask,
a wolf priest,
like a wolf priest kind of mask, and yeah, she's
basically the one that herds them.
Yeah, she's gonna be the one that herds them. Luca's pretty restrained, but I have Ingvar the Belligerent, who it's not a clever name. I think they tend to earn their names in battles, so Ingvar was called that because basically he kept getting shot at and just didn't fucking care.
No, I know the actual reason why.
Thank you, because I fucking forgot it.
Ingvar got the name the Belligerent because he kept falling off his base when you were painting him.
You know what? That's even
cool.
better. That's way less cool. What am I thinking of? I might be thinking of Boulder.
I think you are thinking of the other one, yeah.
Yeah, I have one called Boulder as well. But yeah, Ingvar the Belligerent he's like the only non-venerable dreadnought in my dreadnought army, and he's just a grumpy fucker, and I love him. It's like I do have some kind of like my Iron Priest. He basically he dislikes dreadnoughts a lot, and he also likes wolves. So he has like a retinue of just Fenrisian wolves that are really loyal and love him a lot, and they're fiercely loyal to him or her. I can't remember if I made them a lady. I don't know. Some of my army are ladies, some of them are not, some of them are others. It is fine. But yeah, so that's with them, which I haven't found a name for them yet. I think my Iron Priest is a lady, actually, yeah. So she's got like a bunch of wolves, and she is vicious with the big hammer, if you remember.
Yeah, that is a surprisingly dangerous unit.
She's peak berserker, and her pistol is vicious.
Do you have any lore for your Tyranids?
Yeah, they're little babies, and I love them. Not yet, actually. I've been thinking about it.
Did you ever come up with any lore for your Tau, Matt?
I mean, Lefty lost his foot in a dramatic rock accident.
Where he fused with the rock.
Was he like teleported, like an early attempt at teleporting by the Tau?
No,
and they teleported his foot into a rock.
No, I think he just stepped down really hard.
I think you know what I think he went to kick. He was kicking rocks down the road because he was bored, and then he decided to kick a boulder, and his foot fused with it, and his foot flew the fuck off. But his ankle was just like fused to the boulder, and he was like, "Shit, this is my life now."
If you're wondering, it's been brought up a few times in various videos, but Matt, you bought your Tau secondhand. And one of them had
a conversion.
Once the original owner tried to convert a fire warrior to be standing on a rock, but they couldn't quite work out the logistics of that, so they just cut his foot off and replaced it with a rock.
So like from like
Lefty's the best.
Yeah, half the shin down, Lefty is just rock. He's amazing.
I usually have the 2 units of fire warriors, and I can manipulate you guys to which one to shoot, because I can say if I don't want you to aim at the left one, I can be like, Lefty's over there.
Yeah,
that's
like, okay, well, we're aiming at the other unit then.
That has bit me in the arse so many times.
No, I don't have much backstory for my. They're the most generic Tau. They're in like the Tau color, and they're the most generic Tau. Because I started them years ago, and I'm like, yeah, before I had even the inkling to want to do that sort of thing. But I hopefully have a bit more done for my various next planned armies that I keep talking about and not getting around to buying.
You do have mitigating factors. So.
You know,
how many more questions are there, just out of interest? Because we've been doing like 2.5 hours.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, we'll try and quick fire them so we can get to chat then.
Okay, this one is probably my favourite. Technician Sourrow.
Hello.
My question is, what 40k army/force do you think you'll be actively working on by episode 150?
I hope by then that I might have started to collect a Seraphon. Is it Seraphon? You pronounce it Lizardmen army for Age of Sigmar. I'd really like to do that.
Osseart Bone Reapers. Because they are Skelebone boys, and I love that. I'm a goth, I can't help it.
Are they the Skull Dreadnoughts?
They're the ones that are just made of skeleton people, yeah.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, what about you, Drummer B?
By then, so that's about 2 years away.
You just want to be working on any new army.
Yeah, no, I want to be doing my not Gene Stealer cult.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
They're just humans that, similar to what you were saying with about the your chapter that's gone off and gone. You know what? The Imperium's a bit fucky. It's similar to that. They're just humans, but they're not part of the Imperium. They're just kind of getting by. So I'm going to do the Gene Stealers, but without any of the actual Gene Stealer models. It's just going to be all the human bits of them.
Sounds good.
So
no, legit.
By 2 years, I'll have started doing that.
Legit, I really want to see this. Like, it sounds like it'd be a really fun army to fight.
I mean, it's intentionally coming back to choosing a fluffy army over a good army. It's intentionally using a Gene Stealer cult codex, but then taking out the good models. So,
what do you think I'm doing? I'm making a Grot Rebellion army. That's basically like going, okay, what's the worst unit in this codex? Let's build an army around that.
Yeah, fair. Okie dokie.
I say that with Saga of the Beast, they've actually made it so they're actually pretty decent now. So
nice.
It worked out well for me in the end.
Saskia. This question links back to one of the other questions, actually. Hope everything's well. Just wanted to ask Wib a quick question. I've been getting more and more into conversion work for 40k, including doing some scratch building stuff. Does he have any tips on doing that sort of stuff? What are good materials to use, especially for scratch building?
It depends really entirely on what you're doing. If you're making stuff that's going to be for like figures, like you want to make aliens, or you want to make like change the poses and things, or just build something from scratch, then green stuff's really the only way to go. Although you can use other things as like brown stuff, which if I remember rightly holds an edge better, but it's different to work with. I've never used it, so I can't honestly say. If you're trying to build vehicles, then plasticard's the obvious answer. If you're trying to build like structures behind things, then sprue's really useful for like bracing things, because you obviously cut it to size, like just the leftover bits of sprue you have when you buy a model. like not knowing the faction, I can't really give too many hints. But if you're talking about like my specialty is orc stuff or grot in the case that I'm building now, and realistically, yeah, between plasticard, green stuff, and a sprue and a few spare parts, you can make pretty much anything you want. Another useful thing is just go and buy a pack of paper clips because they're really useful for pinning things in place, and also for making aerials on things because plastic aerials snap off within like a picosecond. So I always, if I've got an aerial, I'll nearly always cut it off and replace it with a bit of a paper clip because it's just stronger. So
Yeah, smart.
but yeah,
Okay. Last question. Yes. So Zingbo, 2-part question. First part. I'm not sure how much we can answer with the super secrets. All 3 of you have had parts on Alpha Boost productions. Could you talk a bit more about the process of recording lines for his videos?
Basically, what Alpha will do is he'll get you into a Discord group with like one or two of the other writers. And basically, you'll get the script and you'll read it off while they're being quiet, recording your end, and they'll direct you from there.
you see, I didn't do that. The bits that I've done,
Yeah, I didn't do that.
I just I recorded
What?
them.
Am I the only one who's professionally
I just was given lines and then just recorded them and then sent them across, and they were like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, mine's somewhere in between the two. I got on a Discord chat with Alpha, but just him, and then I recorded it my end and sent it back through to them.
I guess, you know what, that's fair that I need more structure.
I think you are both saying the same thing.
Well, I didn't have any of the other writers or anything. I just had
Okay.
Alpha.
You know, like the few lines I've recorded, I'll have maybe Alpha, maybe 1 or 2 other people in there to just kind of.
I mean, you've helped. You've been one of the people helping as well.
I have been an
before.
advisor on an episode as well.
Yeah.
Where Zegram had to put on an Australian accent.
If
So
that-
they got you in.
That's what Zegram called it, yeah.
Okay, we should probably get in someone who actually has been to Australia and has maybe lived there.
Well,
at some
I
point in their
corrected
life.
a couple of things because they used a couple of Englishisms, and I was like, nobody in Australia says that. And they were like, shit, really? I was like, no, yeah. Also, they're called frogs cheeseburgers. No, all the stuff I gave.
It's honestly, it is it's often a surprisingly professional thing.
No, it is incredibly
yeah.
professional, and they are amazing to work with. Honestly,
Yeah, lovely
Great.
folks.
Second part of the question, in a sillier, unrelated note. So, small tears in the space-time continuum have opened in your houses.
Oh shit!
They connect through to the desk of Rick Priestley, circa 1987, as he works on Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. About the only thing that can actually pass through these tears are note-sized bits of paper.
I was gonna pop a cup of tea through with a little note saying "Keep up the good work."
Yeah.
Oh. Unexpectedly, you discover you were skilled at forging Brian Ansell's handwriting, so you can leave Rick notes from the boss to influence the development of the game. What do you change? And there's a side note here saying, assume that someone else has already left a note saying, hey Rick, can you just make sure the Space Marines are clearly described as being both male and female?
I was going to say, yeah.
Cool.
Because they know that's the first place we're going to go with this question.
Mine would just be one poster, and it would be "Let them fuck."
I actually, honestly,
And the next one will be also body pillows. Great idea for merch.
Hey, Games Workshop at that era, they'd fucking do it. They were wild back then. They didn't give a fuck.
Let them fuck, and keep letting them fuck.
I don't know what I'd say, honestly, because when a lot of the things that I am a little frustrated with about Warhammer, quite a lot of it comes from the later interpretations of that early stuff, like the sort of maybe suggesting that the Imperium being fascist was a good choice, which is sometimes a bit of framing that later stuff has used. But the early stuff doesn't do that. It's just, hey, wow, the Imperium's fucked up. Guys, look at this shit. So it's kind of a bit of a weird one. I don't know what I'd actually really insert into it to
You'd be
say.
hey, lightsabers.
They do kind of have them.
No, but keep them in. Or like, Malal needs to remain canon. Don't let anyone copyright that.
That wasn't there though. Like at that point.
Also, I would have been like, copyright Malal.
Yeah, Chaos wasn't in 40k at that point.
Well, then I would have been like, put Chaos in 40k. Credit me, love Snipe.
Credit me. I know it'll take you a whole year to do it, but
Just credit me. It's great.
But yeah, I think there's it's an interesting because like I think a lot of what's what I would change about 40k is all stuff that came after that initial part.
Sexy armor for space marines.
Obviously.
He'd just be like, who is sending me these messages? And then he'd quit because of the stress of just constantly being told to draw sexy naked spacemen.
But yeah,
can we have like an explicitly like obviously douchebag character, like a really just horrible character, and they have to be named Ian Watson, because then when Ian Watson gets involved, he's like, oh no, I'm not getting involved in this, and then that happens.
Yeah. And he's got to be like basically like the shit demon from Dogma, like super gross and like full of like dildos or something. And Ian Watson will be like, shit, that is just me.
It is the prophecy. But yeah, I mean, does anyone have anything like seriously what they would actually change? Like,
oh no,
like
I was fucking serious.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really know really, because like, yeah, it's, I don't know.
Because I mean, if you were to do it, I'd probably say like maybe change the vehicle turning moves, because no fucker ever wants to deal with that, because that's just the worst.
No, I would have like put that in for like foot troops. Put turning circles in for ground units.
Oh god.
And no one would ever play 40k.
Yeah. Because as I say, it's largely most of the issues with it are more what happened after that point.
But this is a fun question, so we get to talk about like dongers.
Yeah. So with that being the last question, now what we're going to do is we're going to answer a few questions from the live chat that is currently here. Now, Matthew,
I think
is going to select some questions. So if you want to ask a question, please put it in the in the chat now. And
don't
Matt
spam
will,
it.
Yeah, Matt will select a few, just a couple, because we're already running quite late.
Yes. And also apologies, because if I go near the chat to move it, the laptop moves the camera, so the camera might. So if anyone watching and not just listening to the audio,
it's fine.
Apologies in advance.
It's fine. You've been mildly out of sync for 2 hours, so it's.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh good.
Nothing we could do about it, so there's no point in telling you. Like...
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, so if you want to select a couple of questions, and then we will attempt to answer them.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Doobie-doo.
And if your question doesn't get answered, follow at Drumblebee on Twitter and tell him off.
Yeah, because.
Oh, if you were in the Venture Bros universe, would you be a hero, villain, or hench? Purple Burb asked that.
I'd be a villain. Because the villains in that are just not even really
just
villains.
Nerds.
They're just nerds.
Job.
And like the good guys, like fucking Dr. Venture, are just twats. I'd be someone like Molotov Cocktease. I'd be like Claw, Crane, Snake, Cobra. And then just beat up a bunch of teenagers. It'd be amazing.
I want to say, so I want to like be grand, but I'd just be a fucking henchman, wouldn't I?
I would totally be a henchman.
Yeah.
Well, you guys could be my henchmen. You could like carry me in places, and I'll be like, Brock Simpson, it's so nice to see you. And he'd fall in love with me because I'd make him Pischetti.
What would you be, Matt?
I totally
henchman.
Yeah, there's no way anything else.
See, I'm so chaotic and weird. I have to be like a main villain. I probably would die after my first or second episode, but I'd definitely be one of the big villains. Just for
okay. Manimal, Snipe. As someone wanting to get thick, what gymming advice and tips would you suggest for a total novice?
Go with what your body tells you it can cope with. Don't be too down on yourself, and don't compare yourself to other people's progress as well. Just like try and keep it all round weights. Just do at least 3 reps. 1, 2 to 10. Rest for 20 seconds, and then do that 2 more times. Like, if you're going to do that kind of stuff. And if you can't do it, don't do it, because you'll hurt yourself. And just, make sure you eat protein and stay the fuck away from the muscle pit, because those protein farts, they will singe your eyebrows. Fucking, like, muscle bros. Oh, fucking hell. Also, don't drop weights and don't do curls in the squat rack.
You just said, don't drop weights and don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do pills.
I mean, like, don't do, like, drugs that will harm you. Be sensible about that. But yeah, don't do curls in the squat rack. Don't drop your weights.
Only
Put
do
your
fun
weights
drugs.
back. Only do fun drugs. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's, off the top of my head, that's the best I can do.
Yeah, I guess I just chime in and say, don't over push it and burn out.
Yeah. And also, even if you're feeling miserable and crappy about it, doing something is better than not doing anything. So, like, even if it's like, oh, I can't be bothered to go, like, for a run today, go for a walk. If you can't do that, do, like, a 30-minute, like, yoga routine on YouTube or something. It's just, as long as you're doing something, that's the important thing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Brother Not So Flappy Mouth, do you guys think you'll do a Codex compliant on Space Crusade?
At some point, I would like to.
Yeah.
We've never talked about it, but I'd absolutely
Well,
like
we're
to do
doing it now, apparently.
Yeah.
Thank you, Flappy Mouth.
So I guess the answer is yes, but don't hold your breath, because we have the next, like, 5 or so episodes penciled in. So yeah.
Nice. Hans the Dragon, what does it feel like? This is a somewhat meta question about us, not the thing. How does it feel like to get to podcast 100 and then stream it live for some reason?
Terrifying.
I added the for some reason.
Okay, because that was like a level of sass I wasn't expecting from Hans.
I added the for some reason.
Yeah. Honestly, it's surreal. It's weird. But I mean, it's really nice that people really enjoy listening to this. And because I enjoy having an excuse to talk to my friends, because in adult life, you don't ever get that fucking chance.
You have to make an opportunity to do it sometimes, and it's been a nice way to do that. And just honestly, it is just cool to, like, have this thing that's got all the way up to episode 100. It's like a little bit of behind the scenes thing here. So the template for the little thumbnails that are used on YouTube, there was like a generic one that I made for, like, the first handful of episodes. I think it was like the first, like, 5 episodes or something used that, and then I made a new one, which is basically the one that we've been using ever since. And I intentionally made it so it would be like, okay, so there'll be room for it to get to over 100. So I wouldn't have to, like, resize the numbers or anything. And I'm like, is this really going to get to 100? Probably not, but I'll future-proof it. And now I'm like, I'm glad I did that, because I've made it so that, we can have as many as we want, and it'll still keep
My
going.
favourite part about the podcast is all the weird shit you put on Twitter when it's posted.
Yeah.
I feel that no one ever acknowledging that is the best part about it.
I mean, ignore me. Wow.
Because to drop the facade slightly, I got into this weird habit of whenever I would post the podcast, I would always describe it as if it is a Lovecraftian entity ripping its way into our world.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, that's my fault.
And I don't know why I started doing that, but most of the podcasts, when I post them, I don't say anything about the podcast itself. I just describe it as an entity, and that there is one you can listen to now, and occasionally use uncomfortable words like moist.
Anyway, shit's weird.
Lieutenant Angel, what about a Deathwing style Guardsman game or a Battlefield 1 type game for the Death Corps, just to amplify the difficulty?
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
like that.
Effectively making something that would pull away from the invulnerable nature of Space Marines is, I think, often quite a good thing. It's one of the things that, because Fire Warrior was kind of like that kind of mold. It's just it was an older iteration of, like, the standard shooter.
So it was nowhere near as polished and a bit frustrating.
Yeah, well, it was just the things of the time. And to be perfectly honest, I'd rather play Fire Warrior than a modern military shooter. I say that 100% unironically. Fire Warrior doesn't make me angry to play. So, no judgment if you like them, just they are not for me. But yeah, I can see that totally working. It'd be cool.
Tom Yule, are there any Ska bands that are putting out music at the moment, or new stuff?
The Scartune Network, you're really enjoying this.
Yeah, I've been enjoying that. I have Oh fuck. I'm trying to remember.
The Skints have a newish album. That's good.
Yes. I'm trying to think of the new ones I was listening to, because I was listening to some the other day. Like I listened to some Catbite, they were pretty good. Call Me Malcolm. They were
Okay, Malcolm.
I can't remember. They're not super new. I think the last thing they put out was a few years ago, but they're pretty good. Listened to like a couple of their albums the other week. Really enjoyed them. But there are literally hundreds of bands. Of course, you're wearing a T-shirt right now of Last Edition, who
Last Edition.
we're friends with.
Get your tits
They
out for
released a
the
new single
stream.
like a week ago, which is good.
Yeah, they are lovely, lovely folks, and they make very good ska punk music.
They do.
And again, this is something which, for listening audience and all, and I'm wearing a Streetlight Manifesto shirt, who are not a new band, but they've been around for a while now.
Oh, they've hinted at the fact that they're going to release the video of their recording with an orchestra.
Yes.
Finally, so that would be new music. It's of old written music, but new recordings of.
Yeah.
So that would count potentially.
Yeah, and they are my favourite band of all time. And they are still playing, they're still making stuff, and they are phenomenal, and they are technically a ska band.
Yeah.
Although people have arguments about that.
Well, I mean, they sort of say they're not sometimes anyway. So
yeah, let's just say they are. I think that saying they were a ska adjacent band is the easiest way to put it.
This one's fun. RNG God. Who would win in a slap fight competition? Doomslayer or Russ?
Doomslayer?
I want to say.
Yeah, definitely the Doomslayer. My husband would win.
I mean, in reality, I do kind of think if you're going to just put it on like scales of how their strength is shown canonically, probably Russ. But in my heart, it's definitely I want to say Doomslayer.
It's Doom Guy. It's Doom Guy.
Do we want to answer one more question, because I'd really like to end this before we get to 3 hours, so we can maintain have never done one that's over 3 hours.
But thank you for popping questions.
I'll do this one, and then I might have a quick look at another one, just because. Yeah, I wanted to ask this one anyway, because I'm interested in the answer. Wib, would you ever do a video about how you go about planning and then doing a conversion or scratch build?
He doesn't plan; he just fucking does it. He's just like, a goose.
I'd like to, but it's a lot of work, and my methodology is a little all over the place, so it would probably be quite hard to like go into it with like a really refined kind of plan.
It'd probably be like observing my creative process.
I would like to do it, and obviously I've touched upon it in some of the videos where I've had to custom make things. But yeah, I'd like to do it.
Okay. Okay. Commander Samus. Have we played the XCOM Chimera Squad yet?
No, but I know that there's lots of people asking me about sniddies, snake titties. Okay.
Well, the follow-up question is, how gay are you for talk like the rest of us?
I haven't seen them that much.
Yeah, I saw the quick trailer. That's the word that I'm looking for. Which looked pretty good, and I like the XCOM games.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I've not played this one yet.
I've heard it's pretty fun, but not being someone that's played a bunch of the mainline XCOM games, it's actually on one of my like next games to play. Is to play through XCOM 2, or at least maybe not play the whole thing because I'm bad at video games, but to play a bunch of it at least. So yeah, I would, and then maybe I'll then have a desire to play one that is playing with it, playing with the ideas. So. But yeah, so is that the last one then?
Or do you want to do one more?
We've got 2 minutes.
It's okay, right. On the spot. Lots of questions about Snexy, Snisby, and Sniggies, and Snakes, and Snecks, and Snitties, and I don't even... remake of Fire Warrior. Yes, that'd be fun. I liked Fire Warrior. I feel like I'm on the spot here.
You have used 30 seconds of the 2 minutes.
I have. How does one get in a band? Lieutenant Angel.
Okay. Forming a band is very much like forming a D&D party. You show up to someone's house with like your apparatus and go, "We're in a band now." And then you do it.
Yeah, and that's...
You have to force people into it, because like Jesus Christ, it is just as hard to get a D&D group. So yeah, you basically go, hey, you play guitar? And they're like, yeah. And then you go, okay, we're in a band now.
Pretty much.
Jam? And then they're like, oh, okay. And yeah. Also,
Yeah.
you will be tripping the fuck over guitarists.
Yeah, if you become a drummer or accidentally become a drummer,
Or a bassist.
you will end up in bands because people need you.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
And now, like, we can't get rid of drummer Matt. He's basically family now. He's adopted me. He's my dad.
But if you want to form one and you don't know anyone, don't be too proud to go to a music shop and look at the ads wanted things for
Because every
people.
music shop has, like,
we
a thing.
we have
That's where we found Dicko, unfortunately.
we found Dicko. Didn't we get our old trumpet player? From that as well.
Yeah.
So since I'm just going to give up on the idea of trying to keep this under 3 hours, since we're 7 seconds away from that ticking over. Do you want to ask one more question for good luck then?
That means I have to find another one. I am good at this.
Yay.
It's okay. It's okay. We believe in you.
I mean, I don't, but, you know.
Oh, I'll ask this one, but I'm going to pronounce the name wrong. Kalikoseg? What do you do to keep your hands still during painting?
I hold my breath.
Yes,
That
you
gets
do.
really dangerous really quickly.
Yeah.
It does, because the amount of times I've been like, and gone lightheaded because I've been holding my breath so much. So yeah, be careful with that tip. It's like, do as I say, not as I do.
I
do hold my breath for
I can
way too
I can
long.
demonstrate this obviously on the camera feed, but to describe what I'm going to do for a listening audience, basically what I do is I like hold the miniature in one hand, and then the hand that I'm painting with, I like rest the bottom of my hand on the palm of the hand that I'm holding the model in, so that everything's being held steady. That's how I do it. Which I assume a lot of people, I think most people do that, but
I don't. I kind of rest it on my knee and then hold my breath. Don't do that, because the amount of times I've gone really lightheaded or scared the ever-loving bejesus out of.
oh yeah,
Olivia.
because I'll be like sitting doing something in the corner, and then all of a sudden I'll hear,
and you'll be like, "What the fuck?" And I'll be like, "What?"
I'll turn around and go, "Oh, you're painting." Oh.
Okay.
Hey,
It's
I'm a
terrifying.
competition-winning painter. If it works, I should still probably cut down on it because it's not good for me.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I think I stick my tongue out. That helps. Just slightly.
Just keeps you concentrated.
Yeah, how big is your
Yeah.
tongue? That is such a small tongue.
Well, you only stick out a little bit because otherwise you accidentally lick the model that you're painting.
Yeah, and that's how you get your genetic material all over it. So I was gonna be like you stick it all the way out, like.
Okay.
Okay, people in the chat are asking the totally true tales about Daramat and why I've been banned from Ireland and stuff. Think we're gonna have to leave that till next time. Send us an email with that question in it, and I'll probably answer at least one of them, much to Wib's dismay.
Okay, I think we've got to the point where over time, but I'm going to have a moment of vague sincerity, if that's okay with everybody.
Fine, okay.
Right.
Okay, I would just like to thank everyone who's come to the live recording of this nonsense. Thank you so much for sticking with us, and thank you everyone for sticking with the podcast in general. It's been a lot of fun to kind of put together. Doing 100 of them is not something that I anticipated 4 years ago that we started doing this damn thing. But here we are, and we're super grateful that you listen and send in the questions and stuff. That's really great, because a huge chunk of the podcast became content that you guys have effectively given to us, hey, answer these questions, and we've done that. And that's just really cool, and thank you very much.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyone else have anything to say before we wrap up?
Love you.
Yeah, I feel quite privileged that I've managed to sort of sneak my way into this whole thing you've got going on with you've collected nice people on the internet all in one place somehow. And
This
it's really
is where
lovely.
they all hang out.
Yeah,
This is why
apparently,
no
it's
one
just
else has
really
nice
Yeah. It's both of your fault that the rest of the internet is just pure trash.
Because all the good people are here.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's really nice to say hi to lots of people.
Yeah. So, I guess at this juncture, it is time to say goodbye. And, well, I guess we'll be back for the next podcast, which will not be recorded live, so we can actually edit ourselves and remove
what
all
he
the
means
mistakes.
is he can edit. He will tell me what parts of my bullshit to edit out.
And it also means we can go to the loo mid
Yeah,
podcast.
that's true, actually. Yeah, we need to end.
I drank a whole orange juice.
One whole
drank-
orange juice.
I drank a whole soy sauce, apparently.
Don't do that.
It's bad.
But yes. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.